Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of LyfCast here on my channel. Thank you so much, guys. How you doing today? Thank you for this is episode 3 already. Holy shit, I can't
Episode
believe it.
3?
This is Mr. Tibbins. Welcome again, man. How you doing?
Good.
Welcome,
How was
welcome.
yous?
I'm doing well, man. You know, chilling, living the life.
Living
How
the
about you,
dream.
man? Yeah, how have you
Just
been
living
doing?
the dream, you know.
The dream. It's
Yeah.
happening. It's happening today. Coming down from clouds and all of a sudden just like, oh my god, dreams are everywhere. You're just picking them up out of the sky and throwing them at people. Kind of like Chiki boys.
Kind of like Chiki boys.
So what's up, man? What have you been up to? What have you been playing, dude?
Not much. The last game that I picked up was Battleborn. That was a big game that came out this week,
Yeah.
and I really like that. Battleborn is basically, well, it's a first-person shooter, and it's like a hybrid of a first-person shooter and a MOBA. And a MOBA is basically it's a big style of game on PC. Everybody's heard of like Dota and League of Legends.
Right.
And those games are basically you have like 3 lanes and you're pushing these lanes of AI, which are like NPCs that can attack you. Well, can attack the other team, but the team's AI can attack you too. But you're trying to push these to the enemy base and blow up like their towers and shit. And the whole thing is to blow up the enemy's last tower, and that's how your team wins. But
That sounds pretty fucking cool. How many characters can you choose from in the game? And
in Battleborn, you can be 25 characters, which is a
Wow,
lot.
shit. That is
They're-
quite a
they're,
bit.
They're all vastly different. I mean, you got melee characters, you have snipers, all sort like magical characters, healers. So it's like it runs the gamut. And you got like, there's one guy that I like playing with that's a hawk, and he can jump up in the air and fly around the map and shoot rockets and shit.
Oh, that's
there's
fucking
a
sweet.
penguin that can drive a mech around,
Yeah.
and he's a railgun.
so, which character do you use the most? Would you say, like, out of the healers, the hawk guy? Like, who do you like the most?
When I play a lot of those team-based shooters, I like playing support characters, so I kind
Okay.
of like being the healers.
You know,
But
I do too. Like when I play MMOs and things like that, I'm always like
Yeah.
either the healer or I'm like a black mage, maybe like range, like always giving support and buffing or healing or something.
Yeah, I kind of
that.
like
Yeah.
roaming the map as them and like seeing if people are in trouble and helping them out and helping push those lanes like I was talking about.
Yeah, right.
Because those games, League of Legends and Dota, they're from a top-down isometric
Right.
angle where you're looking down at like a little character. But
And this game is a first
this
person.
game's first person.
That's
so
what's crazy about
it's
it. Yeah.
really different. So you're pushing. There's a couple different game modes, but the main one revolves around that MOBA type game style.
Okay,
And
cool.
you're pushing robots to the enemy base, trying to blow up. The one game is called Incursion, and they have 2 giant sentry robots, like one in the front and one in the back of their base.
Okay.
And you got to blow both of them up. So you're pushing your robots and trying to shoot them and blow them up and take them out. And then there's another game mode called Meltdown, where
Okay.
you're trying to push your robots into these enemy furnaces and sacrifice your robots
Holy shit, that
to
sounds
get points,
amazing.
and whoever
Yeah.
gets the most points wins at the end.
That
So
sounds
it's-
amazing.
I mean, it's made by the people that made Borderlands, so it's kind of
Gearbox.
right, Gearbox.
Yeah, okay,
So
okay,
it's
cool.
got that art style and that humor to it.
Right.
All the characters are really wacky and outlandish, and
I remember seeing
design
like
was
videos for it like about a year ago or so when they first
Yeah.
announced it, and like it was like I remember there's like a skeleton guy with a top hat, and there's like a girl.
yeah,
who's
there's
running through
a,
the woods
a
with, like, a
robot,
bow and
a robot
arrow and shit.
butler. There's a robot butler with a top hat.
He's a, oh, he's
who
a
says
robot.
really
but
like
okay.
degrading stuff to people because he
An
thinks he's
asshole.
better than everybody.
That's
Get
not
out of my way,
surprising.
hobos.
Motherfuckers.
It's
Oh, shit,
great.
man.
No, all the characters have great personality.
So
And
how
they're-
many like modes are in the game when you get it? Like is
So
there...
so far, there's 3 modes. There's a capture the point mode where there's 5 points on the map, and
Okay.
you try to hold as many as you can against the other team.
Okay.
And then there's those 2 other modes that I talked about.
Right. So
But
it's three
there,
altogether. Okay.
so there's 3, but then there's a whole single player campaign, which
Oh wow, that's surprising.
which there's 8 levels, and you can play up to 5-player co-op on each of them.
Huh.
So and there's a ton of unlockable stuff in there. I mean, you get these gear loadouts, which aren't really specific to a character, but there's specific buffs that you can bring in the game. There's 3 of them.
Right.
I forget in the matches. There's a currency, these crystals you blow up,
Okay.
and you get currency where you can like build a turret that you see on the field,
Mm-hmm.
or you can build bigger robots to send towards the enemy base.
Oh, that's
But
pretty
you
cool.
can also use that currency to unlock this gear that you bring with you. Like one will be a buff that helps you do more damage output or helps your shields be built up more.
Oh wow, it
So
sounds pretty
you
good,
so you can
complex.
spend that currency on that kind of stuff, but
Okay.
all that stuff is randomly generated. So you kind of get it unlocked through these card packs and stuff.
Oh, you
But
can like buy
they're
those like DLCs or
well,
something,
you
like
don't
DLC
buy
card
them.
pack.
It's just currency that you ain't earn in the game,
Oh, okay,
and you
cool.
use them to
Okay,
unlock packs. So they're not putting anything behind a paywall.
that's
And
good to
and
hear.
they announced that all the DLC for the game is going to be free.
Good
So
lord, I love it when they do that.
they
That's
announced
that is
five
so
more
good.
characters. So there's going to be
Wow.
30 characters by the
30 on top. Wow, that's insane. Yeah, I was thinking maybe there's 20 now and you get an additional 5, but wow, 30 characters. That's
yeah.
crazy. Oh,
It's
wow.
it's pretty crazy. And
Now let me ask you about this because I was reading some reviews on Battleborn, and since you,
okay.
you have the game, you've been playing it, and I was curious about this. Is that I heard that the game is actually like something about and I never played the game, but about like the skill trees. They're kind of complex. Of how like
Oh
each
yeah,
character
I didn't
has
even
a
talk
skill
about that.
tree. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was hearing like really negative kind of bad things about it, and I didn't
really.
really know your. Yeah, I heard that like
I
each
think
character has their
that's
own, and then like you level up, and then you can't level up certain trees in ways that you want to or something. I mean, I don't really know. Like I said, never played it. Can you
no,
elaborate on that at all, or like,
yeah,
how does it work?
it's a really interesting system they call the helix system
Okay.
because it's a skill tree, but it looks like a double helix, like DNA.
Hmm.
And so you have skills that run down each part of this helix, and in the game, you don't level your character up like it's not persistent. It's you level your character up in each game.
Okay,
So
cool.
you start as a weak character at the beginning of a match, and by the
Right.
end of it, you level up. So each level on this helix, so you'll get level one, and there'll be two skill choices, one on each side that you can choose from.
Uh huh.
So like one will be like this buffs my guy's rocket ability, so he'll do 50% more damage with his rocket. Or the one on the left will be like he can now lift off, jump in the air, and when he does that, it stuns enemies.
Oh,
So
so
you
you can
got
do one or the other.
right. So you got
Oh,
to
okay,
pick.
I understand. Okay,
And-
that's not that. That sounds more like JRPGs and things like that, like where they give you
yeah,
different kind of growth abilities and like your
right.
character can grow in different ways with different kinds of weapons or attributes or things like that. Like, do you want a tank or do you want a healer? Like, what do you want more?
Right.
Like, do you want more
It, it,
HP or
it
defense or something
depends
like
how you
that?
want to
So,
play, and you can
yeah.
adjust to that because
Okay, so
not.
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say not every time you face off a team, you're gonna be against different characters.
Mm,
So you gotta adjust for if this team,
like on
the
the
enemy
fly,
team
yeah.
picked all these tanks.
Oh, cool.
You might want a more damaged output build to take down the tanks.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
it's cool because you can adjust on the fly to which way on the trees that you want to go. Because each level you can only pick one, and that's it.
And that's pretty interesting for a. I mean, when I think of this game, it's. I mean, I know it's a mobile, but
Yeah.
I think of a first-person online, competitive shooter essentially.
I mean,
So,
it is.
yeah.
It definitely is. But
so it's weird to have like these
it's
skill sets and being able to kind of grow your character and stuff. It sounds
yeah,
really.
it's awesome.
It sounds crazy.
It's
It sounds
really
like.
addictive, and I mean, the skill trees like that means you can play the character a bunch of different ways. You can mix
Right,
and
right.
match skills, and you can just play with it, which is what I've been doing. Just fucking around with different builds and seeing which is the best for the way that I play these characters.
Is there a or do you think there will be a like character creation kind of thing? Like maybe you can make your own character where you can like have a healer and then like say you want the butler, but he's not necessarily a healer. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't think they've really done it that way. I think they built these characters in a specific way where
Uh-huh.
you have a sniper, but this sniper can either be a super defensive sniper or
Okay.
you can make him be more offensive,
okay,
so he can survive and hang out in the field instead of just hanging back.
Oh, that's
So it's
pretty
more
cool.
kind of that kind of thing. Or
Right,
you,
that
or you can do things with the healer where you're more of a defensive healer, or you can go out and hang in battle like I'm talking about.
Huh.
So you can play him supportive, defensive, or offensive, or a mix. So there's hybrid classes in there too, which I mean the game has a lot of depth for what they're given. People were complaining there's not a lot of maps so far, but
well, that always
I mean,
happens for like online.
for
Yeah,
regular MOBAs, they only like Dota and League of Legends. They only have one map, and that's it.
Yeah,
It's kind of
I
like
don't
having a
ever.
pool table. Like
Right, I don't ever
when you
remember
play
seeing
pool, there's
more
only
than-
one pool table, and that's
Right.
it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's
yeah,
not
I
like
don't.
when you
I
like
mean,
play Halo or anything where you have all these
yeah.
different maps and things. Right? Yeah.
But this game, it's more about the characters and the strategy of how you're gonna work together with your team and push into the enemy's base.
So I mean, have you played League of Legends or Dota or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, I've I've played Dota, but those communities are kind of toxic, I guess.
Yeah,
They're not
I've heard
very,
bad things. I've
not
heard
very
bad
friendly
things.
to newcomers. They get
Yeah.
really pissed off if you make mistakes. So I was kind of turned away from that. I like playing shooters because they're easy to grasp. and
Yeah.
understand. I mean, this is a little more depth than your average shooter Battleborn
It
because
sounds
there's
like
all
it.
these
Yeah.
choices, and you can't just. I see a lot of people fuck up and they run in with characters. I mean, it's still early in the game, so people don't really understand the characters. They're playing it like a regular shooter where
Sure.
people are running out into the middle of the battlefield with a healer and just getting destroyed right away. So it's like
Oh my
they don't
god.
understand like, oh, I'm a support character.
Right,
But
you got to
but I
stand
think
back
people
and
will
yeah.
learn that as the game goes along.
So you
It's
think it's probably more approachable than I would say Dota or even League today?
Yeah, big time.
Okay. Well, that's very
Those
cool.
games have an insane learning curve. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man.
Yeah, it's
Thanks
great.
for explaining some of that stuff to me too. Because when I saw this stuff, I've been following Battleborn along its release, and they've been releasing like little snippets here and there, and it looks so intriguing.
Yeah,
And
it
it
was
sounds
confusing
awesome,
to
you
what it
know?
was because all these characters looked really cool,
Right.
and I mean, people say it's a MOBA hybrid. It's not a true MOBA. I mean, MOBAs are a little more complex than
Mm-hmm.
but it's in the style of that. There was a game released several years ago that I really liked called Monday Night Combat,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of similar. It was set up as like a futuristic sports arena game, but they had this set of characters, not as big, but you're pushing robots to the enemy base, and it's kind of the same thing. Um,
That sounds awesome, man.
yeah, it's really fun and interesting, and if you want a unique shooter and you like online team-based shooters, this is really fun.
I don't know if you answered this. How many, or I don't know if I asked you this. How many people can you have on a team? I mean, I know in like League of Legends, like it's just 1v1, isn't it?
No,
Or
League of Legends, I think it's 5v5.
5v5?
And
Okay,
this
so
is 5v5 too.
5v5. Okay, cool. Okay. Interesting, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely like to try it out because, yeah, I've never really been played a MOBA. I've seen some League, I've seen some other things, but I've
Yeah.
never tried it myself. And
I mean,
same thing.
I
I
know
mean, like,
people that play them,
I've
but
never really been welcomed into that community either. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to start
it's
getting
a
into it
rough
now.
one.
And yeah, that's what I heard. So,
It's a cult following. It's a
well,
dangerous section of gaming.
it sounds like it can be at times,
Yeah.
man. And I always hated that. It's always like,
I
damn,
mean,
you
have
know.
you ever seen like the giant arenas they have in China or Korea, where they have like
Yes.
thousands of people watching people play Dota?
Oh, I
There,
think that there
there's
was
a
over 100,000
huge
people on Twitch
esport around it.
watching. Yeah, there was over
Yeah, it's
100,000 people
crazy.
on Twitch watching the
And I
the
look at it, I'm like,
championship.
what
You
the
know.
fuck is going on? There's just shit exploding everywhere. Characters turn like colors are, and I guess Battleborn got that kind of happens because all
Oh,
these
okay.
characters are shooting
Yeah.
so much crazy shit. Stuff's
Now,
blowing up.
how does the game hold up? Because you have this on Xbox One, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how does it hold up? I mean, frame rate holds up. What do you got?
Yeah, I
Lock
mean,
it? Are you at 30,
I've
60? What is it?
I've never had it crash.
Okay,
I
cool.
think I'm pretty sure it's running at 30, but
30.
it's a solid 30 where
That's
it's not
what
jumping
matters.
around and
Hey, that's all
you
that
don't get
matters.
any slowdown at all, which is good.
Yeah, that's almost kind of afraid of because you think a game like that with that much stuff going on, like I don't know if the architecture would be able to handle all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting
It
that
handles it well with all this AI running around and
right, and it's not a
all these
traditional
different
shooter,
characters
so.
shooting like particle effects and
Oh, that's
explosions.
insane. I bet the source code for that game is just it's probably just like thousands and thousands and
Yeah,
thousands.
I mean,
of
I think
pages long.
Gearbox had that down with Borderlands.
Borderlands, right?
Because you had a
Yeah.
bunch of people fighting AI online,
That
so
makes sense,
so
yeah.
they have experience making games like that.
Yeah, it's interesting though because with the skill sets and everything like that, I mean, it really sounds like they're expanding everything and anything they've done before, and kind
Yeah.
of just taking to a whole nother level with Battleborn. So no, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. It sounds fantastic.
It's a
Definitely
great
want to check
game.
it out.
I'll definitely play it in the months to come.
That's good to hear. So there's gonna be hopefully there's gonna be more content. I mean, you said there's gonna be 5 more characters and things like
Yeah,
that.
they
as
said there's
well,
going to
so-
be more modes, more maps,
Right.
all
So
for
it's
free.
not gonna be like Evolve where there's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be the best game. You're gonna be playing this forever,
No,
and then everybody
they
stopped
didn't,
playing in
they
like
didn't
5
hype it up
months.
like that at all. Like, this is the new esport. You will only play this.
You will only play Evolve. You will have to evolve. And
Well,
it's
that's
like,
where Turtle
no.
Rock fucked up big time with Evolve because
Poor Turtle Rock.
they were showing it at E3 like, yeah, it's an esport, and they had like teams of journalists playing,
Yeah.
just like I don't
Anytime
know.
you get teams of journalists playing, it's
Anytime,
always
yeah,
bad.
and you have really cringy commentators
oh,
that
they're
are
the
just
worst. Oh, they're the fucking worst, man. You're just like, oh god, I just need a bath after listening to some of that
Yeah.
shit. Oh, it's so bad.
turns me off from that.
Yeah, it's
But
you know,
Battleborn, they made something competitive, but it's fun, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. But the gameplay is really serious.
yeah, it
You
didn't
got
look
in a
like it took
match.
itself too seriously. So you're
Yeah.
not going to be getting in there and be like, this is only for the heart, it's core of core. But then if you want to be, you can. But if you just want to kind of get in and shoot some motherfuckers in the face, you can too. You know?
Yeah, and the community has been pretty good so far, even though it's still early. Like people don't
Right.
get pissed at you for fucking up doing buffs on people or whatever. So it's been a good experience so far.
Oh, that sounds good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, dude. I haven't been playing anything new, really. I kind of I stopped playing Bravely Second because I just kind of
Oh no, did you get burned out?
I got. I mean, not burned
The
out, but I
bravely
mean,
burn.
dude, I got burned by Bravely burned. Yeah, I mean, I put so many hours in Bravely Default, and I thought that I was ready to jump into the next game. And
Yeah.
every time I try to pick it up, man, I start playing it and I crash in like 20 minutes. I
Oh
just fucking
no.
pass out. I can't. I'm leveling up, because it's the same game over and over again. It's a great
Yeah.
game, but it's more of the same. And it's kind of just like, oh, do I really want to trudge through another 30 levels or episodes of this or whatever? And I will eventually, but it's not something that I just like to do for leisure as at this point. It's
No, I
gonna be
hear
more.
you.
It's a really kind of tense JRPG. So I've been playing motherfucking Metroid Prime.
Oh shit. Really?
I went back in time. Yeah.
Oh, that's a fucking great game, man.
Yeah, that's what I've been playing mainly. We've been playing that on the stream and stuff like that.
Did
But
you get
yeah,
the trilogy?
I do. I got the trilogy right
So
here.
you
Man.
start with the first one?
Oh yeah, we start with the first one. I'm thinking we're gonna move on to the second, and then probably even the third one.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
we
they're
get
they're
there, so.
they're probably my favorite Metroid games, even though they're not what's considered a classic Metroid. I mean, Super Metroid will always be one of my favorite games.
Oh sure, yeah.
It's
There's something
great.
special about Super Metroid. I mean, with the soundtrack and just everything, the way the
Yeah,
worlds
it's
look.
animated insanely well.
You
The
know, just
controls
like-
are really tight.
I mean, I remember seeing like in the very beginning of the game, like like when you go to the spaceship
Yeah,
and like
and
you're
you're
gonna
just
go check
standing
out
on
the
it like a badass. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I know. And then, but even before that, like when Ridley comes in,
Oh,
and like he
yeah.
comes in from the background and swoops
Yeah.
into the foreground, you're like, oh my god, oh, like what is gonna happen? And it was like everything.
Well, it's because before that,
you
all
know.
you had was the original Metroid, where they couldn't do a lot of that stuff. Even though that's
Oh well, there
an
was
amazing
Metroid 2
game
on the
too.
Game Boy.
Right,
There was
right,
that, but I
right.
mean, it was the same thing essentially. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like it was like worse than the NES. I mean, it's a
Right.
good game, but it's still it
It's
wasn't
great.
technical. Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't technologically advanced. The
Yeah,
NES
but then
was
you
at that
you
point,
get
so.
this. It's like a huge upgrade.
Oh man!
Great,
and then
great fucking
when when you get to Metroid Prime, I mean, oh my god, it's just,
Oh,
and it holds up fairly well. I mean, I am
No, and,
playing
and
on
I
the
really
Wii
I really
version,
like
so-
how it plays with the Wiimote too. I wouldn't want to play that game with a regular controller. I don't think, because
Yeah.
that's how it was on the original GameCube.
Right? Yeah,
But
yeah.
I,
One and
but
two. were
on the
like that,
trilogy,
yeah.
they let you play with the Wiimote.
Yeah, they
which,
brought everything
which
up
it
to the,
works
to the,
good. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been having a little bit of issue from it, but I mean, it's like literally my Wii sensor bar is right where the camera is, so it's like I'm like right
so
here
you're
trying
like,
to do stuff,
like rubbing it on it.
Pretty much, yeah, I know. I'm like, wiki on the camera, I'm like,
"Oh, name up,
I
come
got to
on."
shoot all these fucking pirates, and it's like they can't get out of my fucking face.
Yeah, and there's some hard boss fights in those games too.
Yeah, and I
Where
mean,
you're
when
just jumping around like, oh god, oh god.
And that's the one thing when the Wiimote poops out on you in a boss
Oh,
fight,
you're
just
screwed in that.
You're literally punching yourself in the face. I'm just like, come on, save us, what the shit? So, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't been playing anything too new, but I am going to be getting Uncharted this week. Uncharted 4 comes
Awesome.
out, so I'm pretty excited for that. So I'll probably have more to talk about next week on that. So,
Cool. Yeah.
but as of now, yeah, we got some Metroid Prime. Going back to the classics.
Yeah.
Speaking about going back to the classics, you want to talk about some news? Oh wait, we forgot about the segment. Holy shit. We forgot about the segment.
Oh,
Mr.
no.
Tibbins' Piece of Raspberry Pie. Holy shit. It's only the third episode, and we're
We
already
should call it
forgetting.
Pie Boys.
You call it Pie Boys? I think that's an appropriate name about Pie Boys. Because the game, well, I even know a little about this game because we
Yes.
recorded a video and I'm going to be putting it up on the channel soon. But what is the name of the game, Mr. Tibbins?
Chiki Boys.
Cheeky
Cheeky
Boys, you
Cheeky
said?
Boys.
All right, I'm going to pop this up. We can talk about
Which
it a
not
little
in
bit.
Japanese means Mega Twins, I believe.
Is that it? Megatwins?
Yeah, Mega Twins.
Huh.
That's the American title. But funnily enough, when so Cheeky, yeah, I guess we should talk about it first.
Yeah, let's talk. I'm gonna be
Okay.
playing the video while we're talking about it here, so
Okay. So this is a game you also played.
it's so fucking
is good.
magical.
So Cheeky Boys is a game made by the glorious Capcom back in their glory days. And Cheeky Boys is pretty much a side scroller, and I don't know, it's kind of set up like a Mega Man game where
It has a lot of Mega
Yeah.
Man to it. It feels like like the prime of Capcom because they were still
Right.
developing the early Mega Man games on NES,
yeah.
and that was before the Super Nintendo and everything. So yeah, this came out like 1993, I think it was, or 1990, I think it said.
It came out 1990. It was originally an arcade game,
Okay.
an upright arcade game, and yeah, that was released in 1990, and it was ported to a bunch of consoles like the Commodore 64
Good
and
lord, man. Yeah, I think it's on the. I think you get it on the Wii Virtual Console today, actually.
yeah, they released it in a couple collections. I think on the PS2 there was a Capcom collection it was in, and I think on the Wii you can get it as well. But it was ported in 1992 or 93 to the Genesis,
Right.
so you could play it on there. And I was reading in the arcade you can play it 2-player because there's 2 characters in the game.
Oh, right. You can only pick
Yeah.
between 1 and 2.
But yeah,
on
only on the
Genesis.
on the Genesis you can only pick one. But the game consists of 2 characters you can pick from. There's more of a melee guy, and then there's more of a magic guy.
Yeah, the melee guy is 1P, the guy with the blue shorts, and the magic guy is a little brother.
Right.
He has more magic and shit like that. But it's kind of crazy. I mean, you know, when you're playing it, when you look at this game, or when you're thinking about this game, you have to think about like Joe and Mac meets Mega Man.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's got that. Like Mega Man has like smaller kind of art. The characters are bigger. Like it seemed like they were a lot larger on the screen.
It's crazy. I mean, most Sega games at the time, they didn't look like this game, dude.
No.
I mean, this game just like looks so
it looks
crisp.
beautiful. The animations are really high quality.
Right.
The music's awesome. Yeah, and just the amount. Sometimes there's like a ton of characters and shit on the screen that you're attacking.
Yeah, I know. And like, there's no slowdown really,
No.
especially when you get to like the water levels or even like the end of the stage.
Yeah,
when
and
when you get the Count Fucula's like castle or whatever his name was.
Count Dancula.
Count
Break
Dancula.
Dancula.
Oh yeah, man, this game is glorious though. Cheeky.
But that's the
boy.
interesting thing. It's the side-scrolling game, and it's kind of like Mega Man, but you have like a melee character and all these level-specific characters that you're killing, going through, and then there's a boss at the end.
Right.
But a lot of them they mash in a lot of these playstyles from different games where there's underwater levels where you're kind of floating around. Then there's like sky levels where you're flying through the sky and like killing shit.
Yeah, I know, and I remember just like, I think we got pretty far in the game, and we saw like quite a bit of levels. But yeah, there's underwater, there's caves that
you can do
cave right now.
wall jumps too, like Ninja Gaiden. You can
that's what's
jump
awesome.
to walls and cling. So there's a lot of mechanics to it that they kind of just throw at you, which.
And the whole thing is about like collecting points, and then at the end of each stage, you get to buy upgrades, and
it's like a persistent RPG. So
right, exactly. Yeah, you get to buy upgrades. You can buy extra lives, or you can buy
new swords
or shields, and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a phenomenal game. Like when we jumped into it, I remember. Because we were just jumping around the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, we were just jumping around the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, like, oh, it's the Chika Boys. What is this? And then we literally put it on, and I was just like, oh my god,
it's like the best Capcom game ever.
I'm just like, how have we never heard of this? And how much does this go for? Unfortunately, it is a fairly rare game today. I think it's roughly a $50-$60 cart complete in box. You're gonna be paying over
complete it was 120.
Complete it was 120 bucks. So yeah, you're gonna be paying.
You get the cart for like $50.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't recommend. Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't recommend picking it up if you're a collector. I mean, of course, if you have the money, go ahead and do so. It's probably one of the best Sega games I've ever played in my life. I mean, this beats like everything I have on cart. Actually, like I think it's better than Castlevania Bloodlines. I think it's better than fucking any of the Sonic games. I mean, this game was just.
I think if I had this, it would have been one of my favorite Genesis games, just based on the way that it plays and there's no slowdown. Because a lot of Genesis games, like. The original Sonic had a ton of fucking slowdown. Like when the rings would come out of you, everything would just be like.
I remember in Sonic 2, like the fucking camera tried to like keep up with Sonic, like, and I don't know if that was like they were trying to like be like, oh, this is how fast he moves. He's like trying to like he's faster than my console, so it was kind of like trick you out.
Sick from watching him spinning around doing all this shit.
And then even games like Quackshot and like Michael Jackson's like Moonwalker and shit that didn't have a lot going on, like they would still have a lot of slowdown.
Yeah. And
they all came out at around the same time.
What do you 89 Quackshot? It doesn't seem it has as many frames as animation as this game does.
No, that's true.
And Quackshot's really well done, but this seems like it just plays really fluid. Like everything moves really nice.
Yeah, I mean this plays better honestly than a lot of the PlayStation Mega Man games. A lot of even like the Super Nintendo, like Mega Man 7 and things like that. Like I mean this game is just like it really kind of blew me away in so many different ways, man. I mean it was just and then like it's so ridiculous. The game is just like so ridiculous. I mean, some of the enemies
the bosses
you fight
are really cool. You fight like that giant stingray underwater in the underwater level a couple times.
Yeah,
there's
the
like
one
dragons.
The one that's on right now is like that big rock guy. You gotta punch his fists.
Oh
you know?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And then you have Count Chocula in the basement where he pretty much flashes you and you have to beat him up.
He's like only wearing a cape and like red underwear.
And boxers,
it's pretty fucking ridiculous. Yeah,
it's really weird.
Yeah, and then it's like a weird like platforming RPG type of fantastic
It's
game.
it's an insanely weird game, but
I mean, I think it's probably.
it plays really well.
I mean,
it's great.
I mean, this game was like nowhere on my top 10 list, and this game easily moved into my top 10 because it just plays so well, it functions so well. All right, so real quick, so on the screen right now, this is you got 7,310 coins, and basically he just bought a power shield. So now you could, now you're gonna have more damage defense against creatures. So now round 2 is gonna go to the sky level. And then what's interesting about this is, like, I thought after round 3 that was the game, because back in the day, we were like, okay, that's the game.
You have a map that you can pick 3 areas from.
Yeah, you don't have to go 1, 2, 3. You can go 3 and then 1 and then 2 if you want to. But then after you beat 3, you open up a whole nother map, and there's like 10 levels or something.
And that was as far as we got, I think.
It got so ridiculous.
Secondary map.
It got so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the whole thing is about, like, hit everything in the face, do not get hit, collect as many points and get a high score.
Yeah, because remember we weren't collecting points at first until we were like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I'm like, what's running around? I was like, what is all this cheekiness?
Gotta get your Chiki coins for your Chiki sword. Get your Chiki boxers from the Chiki.
The only thing that I do wish was in this on the Sega version was that I wish there was 2 players. I really wish it was a 2-player game. I mean,
maybe it just couldn't handle it. Two inputs going at the same time.
Or they didn't. Yeah, I don't know if the Sega could have, because I remember even like a lot of arcade games that were 2-player had a really hard time kind of bringing that over to consoles. Like I remember the one that I remember all the time is fucking Final Fight on Super Nintendo.
Oh god,
yeah, Final Fight in the arcade was fantastic. I mean, that was just a beautiful, wonderful done game. 2 players, and then as soon as it came to consoles on Super Nintendo, it was literally you could only be one person, and then like you and your fucking brother or friend are sitting there. You're like, hey, it's time to go, and it's like, oh, never mind.
It's like, oh man, you're playing Final Fight. Let's play. Like, no,
let's do it. No, but I guess we're not gonna play
in the arcade.
Yeah. Dude, the guy that recorded this video we're watching now, he's totally fucking wrecking shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like wrecking fucking face, man.
The video I sent you was the one on hard mode, so he's like destroying the shit out of the game on hard mode.
It's just so ridiculous between, just the beautiful animations, and you got like these golden showers, and then these fucking...
Yeah, there's shit exploding everywhere. It's great.
He's in the sky fighting the kid on the cloud right now with the fucking yellow trunks on right now, so...
Well, yeah, there's games where the camera does like a Mario, and it's like panning slowly up, and you're slowly flying up, just battling shit in the air.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty awesome.
I always like how they swim and fly. They're just like this with sword, and like they just move around the world like this. And you just have to use your directional pad. You don't have to keep hitting jump or anything.
No, yeah.
You're flying.
There's no gravity. You're not being pulled down at all.
Yeah.
You're just kind of gliding through.
So if you're looking for a really interesting retro game for Raspberry Pi or for whatever, if you're a collector, you want to try to pick this game up, Chiki Boys.
And this is about as good as it gets on the Genesis.
Seriously, like
this is great.
God, I wish I had this game growing up. I would never have needed another game, Like I thought Earthworm Jim was good, and then I played Chiki Boys. And I was like, holy shit.
This is great.
This
beats Earthworm Jim.
It beats everything, but it is a fantastic game. So yeah, Chiki Boys, check it out if you want to.
Chiki Boys.
It's amazing.
Or Mega Twins, if you prefer.
Was that the Japanese one, Mega Twins?
Well, it was called, I guess when the arcade came over here, it was Mega Twins.
Oh, okay.
But when they released it on console, they called it Chiki Boys, so I don't know. It's weird.
And it's so cheeky, too. I don't
know.
It is.
It's very cheeky.
There's actually a little bit of a story that I don't think we saw before, but it was playing in the beginning there, and I was like, oh shit, there's a story to this game?
Yeah, it's something about, like, this evil dragon lord inherited came upon their land and destroyed it, sent all these monsters out, so I mean, it makes sense because there was all those dragons we were fighting in the game.
Yeah.
So I guess you're battling your way up to king shit dragon. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, gotta fuck his face up.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to some news. Since we're talking about Capcom, I think we could talk about the first tidbit of news story. But I do want to thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much for checking out LyfCast Episode 3 with me, Life is Mine, and my buddy, Mr. Tibbins. I hope you guys are enjoying these. There's more to come. And, basically, if you guys don't know what this is, we were reading news stories on live on the stream, and then basically we thought this was a more appropriate, avenue for this kind of stuff, because we can break down ideas instead of just, boom, 5 seconds. Here's a new story. Boom, 5 seconds. Here's a new story.
Yeah.
We can really break stuff down, show you some new games and things like that we can't just do sitting around talking about stuff, on the stream. So this is awesome that we can do this. I hope you guys are enjoying it. So, and thank you, Mr. Timmons, for coming and hanging out and being a part of this, man.
Yeah, no problem. I like talking about games.
Yeah, I know, bouncing ideas off of you, man. It's just it's fucking amazing.
No, totally, it's great.
So let's jump into the first bit of news we got here. Basically, it's kind of weird. It's big news, but there's not really news. It's one of those stories. But when there's not a lot of news happening before E3, you kind of have to just pick and choose what you got. So
Yeah.
so keeping in with the Capcom tradition of Chiki boys, we're gonna move on to some Resident Evil news for all you horror fans out there. Basically, Capcom is teasing big Resident Evil plans for 2016, according to IGN and NeoGAF user Chobel. Basically, Capcom's recent financial results included a mysterious reference to the company's plans for the Resident Evil series. NeoGAF user Chobel went through all of their recent investor reports and things like that, and the words, just a quotes, a full-scale offensive is going to be happening for the Resident Evil series.
A full-scale Resident Evil offensive?
Scale offensive.
So that means we're going to get Capcom versus Resident Evil fighting game.
I don't know. That's what we're gonna break this down in a second. Let me read a little bit more of the story, and then
Okay.
let's crack this wide open, man. Because there's a lot to dig through here. So for the Resident Evil series, possibly indicating the release of at least one more Resident Evil game besides the already game that we know is coming out in 2017, or it's coming out soon. At the Umbrella.
That
Corps.
shooter game.
Yeah, it's
competitive shooter game.
Yeah, so that we know that's coming out. But basically, here's a direct quote from the actual report itself. Excuse me. According to Capcom, in the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2017, the company is scheduled to release ... Resident Evil Umbrella Corps for PlayStation 4 and PC. That's weird. It's not coming to Xbox. Is that not coming to Xbox?
I don't know.
That's fucking weird. It only says PC and PlayStation 4 here, huh? Of the Resident Evil series, which marks, and then for the Resident Evil series, which marks its 20th anniversary in March 2016, as a warm up to the full scale offensive plan for the second half of the year.
That's weird.
This is kind of ridiculous. Why is there a full
I don't know.
scale offense? Like what? I mean, let's get the obvious ones out of the way. Maybe Marvel vs. Capcom 4.
I don't think that's going to happen because Disney owns the Marvel license now.
That's true.
And they've put it pretty strongly that they want to be in control of all that shit, and
So you
they're
don't think
going their own direction. So
you don't think this is going to be like another spin-off, or do you? I mean, could we start talking about Resident Evil 7?
Yeah, I guess. But didn't the last Resident Evil sell really poorly?
Resident Evil 6 kind of sucked, and everybody hated it.
Yeah, well, and they're re-releasing that, aren't they?
Yeah, they just did. It's on PS4, Xbox
Yeah.
One right now, available digitally.
Which is, I guess, what they're making a lot of their money on, because
yeah, they also re-released the Resident Evil and Resident Evil Zero,
the remake,
and
that
yeah.
sold really well for them.
It did, yes. And then there was a collection disc that just came out, I think in February of this year. So you can get, if you never played,
you can play
Resident Evil
Zero and remake, right?
Right, on PS4, Xbox One. I think also PC. But I think
and they announced that they're working on finally redoing Resident Evil 2.
And that could be the other bit of big news, though I don't really
I think
see
it could be, but that was only last year that they announced it.
That they just announced.
That's like a massive fucking game. I think
they're talking about a
long
full-scale
time.
remake. I know. I mean, you're talking about going through Leon's game and then going back through Claire's game. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things that this could be leading to. We could be getting spin-offs. I mean, I don't know about a Marvel, Capcom. I don't know. Like, are they going to be teasing Resident Evil stuff and like, whoa, more Wesker or something? And more, I don't know. But I mean,
I want to see Barry's Tales, where it's just a game about Barry trying to get a job as a janitor out of school.
I've got this mop.
I hope this is not Chris's vomit. Like Barry, come clean up vomit in the cafeteria.
Oh, Barry.
I could eat a Jill sandwich right now.
Go got some extra money at the change place. Oh my god. So I mean, yeah, man. I mean, this sounds like it. We might be hearing something about Resident Evil 7. Maybe at E3. Maybe we're going to be getting a date sometime at the end of this year. I mean,
are people clamoring for a new Resident Evil though? I don't know.
I mean, they're really not. Resident Evil 6 was, I think it was reviewed fairly well through journalistic outputs or whatever outlets, but I think. And I hated Resident Evil 6. I could not even beat it.
I never played it, so I can't really say anything about it.
I was a huge fan of the Resident Evil franchise.
Was it anything like 5?
It was exactly like 5, but they basically upped the action, and you never really ran out. The whole Survivor thing was gone. It was completely gone.
Yeah, that's kind of what threw me. Like
it was like Gears of War, but like way easier.
Right. They're turning it into a big action Resident Evil game.
Yeah, I mean, they were just there was different scenarios, so you could be Leon or Julia.
I remember. Wasn't Leon's scenario more like a survival horror type thing.
I mean, they sold it as that,
That was the only thing I had heard. I
Yeah,
don't know.
they sold it as that, but I mean, like literally, you were. I mean, it sounded kind of cool, but yeah, you were running around this university, and there were just zombies everywhere. And then the thing is, you could just kick off any zombie's head. There were just bullets everywhere. I mean, like it wasn't even like terrifying or scary at all.
So it
And
was like Devil's Third.
it was like Devil's Third. Actually, it was a lot like Devil's Third. It was just like it's time to cut those zombies fights. Yeah, and it's just like. Fuck, it's like why get away from the survival horror aspects of Resident Evil? Like
Well, that's the roots of the game, and that's what
I
it was
know.
about. It was about this slow, methodical, scary thing, and it was I guess to use the term, a Metroidvania type game where you'd come upon these roadblocks where you'd have to find a way to get through them.
I mean, there were aspects of that in the original Resident Evil. I never really thought of
Yeah.
that game that way because, yeah, I mean, you come to a location, you get a key, you had to get a key to get in a room, or you have to beat a snake,
Or you could
you
get
had to
like
get
extra
a
stuff.
crest, or
Yeah.
yeah, or you couldn't hold.
I need
enough
to
stuff,
find the jewels for the tiger statue's eyes and shit.
Yeah, so you can get the other wind crest, or you can
Yeah.
get you can get the magnum and all that shit. Yeah, man. So I mean, that's
Or
interesting.
there
I
was
never really thought of that
the
before.
crow room where you had to push the paintings in a certain
Oh,
thing,
God,
or they all
yes.
attack you.
Oh God, yes, and and that was a thing that like had carried over through all the Resident Evils, and I think it was kind of lost in four,
Yeah.
but four was still really good. But I mean, it still
I
went.
thought 4 was awesome, and I don't know why they didn't kind of stick that, because 4 was almost like an open world type thing where you'd come back to areas of that game. But in 5, it was just kind of a straight path, and you just shot through
Yeah,
it.
5 you were
That
just
was
like
it.
trudging through the whole world.
I mean, I
you know.
enjoyed 5 kind of for what it was, because it was multiplayer, and I played it online with somebody, and it was fun just to do that, but it wasn't a Resident Evil game.
No, it
Like,
didn't
by
feel
that
like
point,
it
it
at
was
all.
just
I mean, by that point, you're not even
yeah.
fighting zombies anymore. I mean, you're the
No,
Las
you're
Plagas or
shooting
whatever the
insect
shit.
fucking alien
Yeah.
creatures. And I didn't
You
like.
know.
I like the zombies that are
Yeah.
invading a mansion. Or
Well, in fucking 6, I mean, you were Chris. One of the episodes, you were Chris Redfield, and you were taking on this massive zombie creature, and you're just running around, literally just shooting it and shooting it, shooting it, and ducking out of the way, shooting it,
Yeah.
and shooting it, just shooting it, and then you come to a room with a ton of enemies, you shoot the fuck out of everybody, and then, and then all of a sudden, like, somebody on your like turned against you, and you had to shoot them. It was a boss fight, and it was just like, what is this shit? Like, there's no horror. This is not scary. This is not atmospheric. Like, there's nothing to like about this, in my opinion. I mean, somebody like we're both really big survival horror fans.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean, they don't really make those kinds of games anymore, though.
and that's what's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's really what sucks is because
I don't know why. I guess I don't know if people aren't interested in that anymore, or just younger gamers don't like playing that kind of shit. They like
I mean, it's
their
weird
mobile
though.
games and
It's like when you
quick-based shooters.
I mean, it's like when you think about the survival horror, like I don't know, like genre and how it's evolved over the years. Like it started off, very like there was Resident Evil, and then there was Silent Hill, and they kind of carried it out, and then you had really kind of offset kind of games that were in those kind of realms, like Haunting Ground, like was kind of like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, but they took
Haunting
your
Ground,
item,
yeah.
you took your weapons away from you, and you only had a dog and stuff. Or I mean, even like the Fatal Frame game, so you don't have a weapon anymore. You had a camera, you had the camera obscura, or whatever. I mean, they've evolved it and evolved it down the road. And then now it seems like today, like everything is like jump scares, like PT or like the Slender Man games, or even other kind of games like Five Nights at Freddy's and things like that, like where it's kind of like evolved. And it's less survival and more horror. Like I think probably one of the best survival horror games recently that I can think of is probably Alien Isolation.
Oh yeah, that's a great
That
one.
game mixed together the jump scares, the survival aspects of being stranded in space on a ship that you had to get out, and the alien was tracking you down, that you had to run from the xenomorph and things, and you just had to get away, and you kept having to go to certain places. And
Yeah,
come
that
back,
that game wasn't about shooting and killing.
you couldn't
killing
shoot or
stuff.
kill anything at
No.
all in that game, which was very cool. And,
I mean, you get defensive items where you can scare
Yeah, I
the
mean, you
alien
get a
off
gu-
and
you
give
get
you
a gun
like
and
5
stuff.
seconds to run and just be like, oh god.
yeah, you get
Yeah,
you get a cattle prod or whatever, and you could like shoot, you could zap the androids or whatever they were.
Right, but that was the first game in a long time that kept me on edge and gave me anxiety and made me like just want to run like with the character, like go get the fuck.
Right,
It gives
just
you a
get it,
sense
just
of
hide, just
urgency.
hide. Yeah, I know, and that's what the original Resident Evil games captured. I mean,
Right.
I mean, nowadays when you go back and play the original Resident Evil, I mean, probably let's talk about the remake actually, because the first Resident Evil, you're like, oh, stupid zombies coming. But I mean, the original Resident Evil,
But the remake's
remake-
one of the ultimate Resident
Yeah,
Evil
like
games.
I mean,
They
like
did
when a
such a good
crimson
job
head
with
is
that.
when a crimson head is coming at you and you don't have like
Yeah.
a knife or something to get away from him, like you're fucking
Well, and
terrified.
you don't usually have enough lighter fluid to burn all of
All
the
the bodies,
zombies.
so
So
you
there's
have
gonna be Crimson Heads in that game.
so you really got to make sure like you have to plan out your kind of where you're gonna go
And
next, where
and
you're
they
not gonna
made it
go
in that
back
game
to,
so
and
they could come through doors and shit too. So they would follow you
yeah,
up the
exactly.
room.
They could follow you right in the next room, and they
Right.
don't even care. So I mean, I mean that was some. If they're going to continue with the Resident Evil franchise, which I mean, this news article sounds like, if they are going to go to a seven, I really do hope they return to the roots of what made the game,
Maybe they will
the
because I
the
think
franchise or
Capcom's been
the
in a
genre.
desperate situation for a while now. Where wasn't it a year or so ago where they were like trying to get people to buy their company? Like,
Yeah, I remember hearing about that they were
yeah,
falling through and nobody wanted them, and they were just like,
right.
yeah, like
I think
they
they like
were.
made an offer to Microsoft, and Microsoft said no,
Yeah, I
we're
remember
not
hearing a
buying you
few
for that
years
much.
ago. Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
had to file for bankruptcy or something, and
So,
or
I know they
chapter
closed down a
11 or
bunch of
something.
shit,
Yeah, they fired a bunch of people and stuff like that. That was a few
but
years ago.
now they kind of fucked up with Street Fighter because
Yeah.
that's not. Didn't you just say it wasn't selling well?
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, yeah. There was basically a news story that says it didn't meet sales
Yeah,
expectations.
but that's because
That's
it
not
was a
surprising.
bare bones game that they released, and every other Street Fighter had story modes and
And
all
and that's
sorts of shit.
actually probably the best way to put Capcom. Like to put the if you're gonna put a label on Capcom today, and part of the past like shit 10 years, I would say almost.
Yeah,
I think it's probably say is they've become extremely bare bones when it comes to
yeah.
their
It's been like
development
that for a
teams.
while. They're not the Capcom of old back in the
No,
day. They were
I
making
mean,
these stellar. I mean, these are the
yeah,
people that made Mega Man, Chiki Boys, and
cheeky boys, man. I mean, Devil May Cry,
Devil May Cry. Yeah, the original
yeah.
Devil May Cry is an amazing game.
I mean, they made awesome horror games. They made Haunting Ground, so they're
Running
they
down.
have a huge catalog of games. I mean, I started getting pissed at Capcom back in like the 2000s, early 2000s when they started canning Mega Man games. Like they were gonna
Yeah.
release Mega Man
Well, they
Legends
released
3.
huge
You know,
trailers that looked awesome, and then no, we're not doing it.
dude, we talked a little bit about Metroid. Did you know there was supposed to be a first person Mega Man game like Metroid Prime? It was called Maverick Hunters.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, like you were supposed to run around as Mega Man and you were supposed to take down bosses
What
and do
about? I
things.
wish they would make another third-person Mega Man game. Remember
Dude,
that?
I wanted to just make a Mega Man game. I don't even
Yeah,
care. Yeah,
yeah.
you're talking about the Legends games.
Legends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They were supposed to make
that
Mega
game's
Man
great.
Legends 3. That was supposed to be a 3DS for launch game when it came out in
Oh
2012,
wow.
and Capcom pulled the plug on it. That's I mean that's a big reason why Keiji Inafune left the company and was like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna go do my
Yeah,
own thing." He started Concept
gonna
and
make Mighty Number Nine.
Concept. Yeah, he made my number 9. Hopefully that's coming out soon. Been getting kind of jerked around a lot, but yeah. But I mean, he had to go indie. He wanted to continue making games, and they weren't allowing him to do what he wanted to do. And I
Right.
mean, it seems like all of their creators have been kind of just like stifled in a sense, like do this
Yeah.
way, and they're like, but this isn't what Resident Evil is. They're like, we don't really care. So I mean, like, look at even the guy that made Evil Within, the Godfather of Resident Evil. I'm totally blanking on his name right now.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Shinji Mikami.
Yeah, Shinji Mikami. Yeah.
Shinji Mikami left Capcom, and he has his own studio now. He's doing his own thing. I mean, worked with Bethesda to make the Evil Within.
Yeah.
He worked with Suda 51 to make fucking Shadows of the Damned and shit.
Yeah,
So,
which is awesome.
which I mean, that was a fucking fantastic game. And I mean, these games, like Capcom had these creators under their belt, and they just fucking let them go. And they've been kind of scrambling ever since to get back to where they were. And they've been releasing shit like fucking like Resident Evil 6 and
Yeah.
really
Resident
shitty.
Evil 6 is just so far removed from what the name Resident Evil instills in me. It's not.
It's so far. I mean, it's so far removed from the horror from the genre
Yeah.
in general that it's just like it's like okay, it's. I mean, if I want to play Gears of War, I'll go play Gears of War. Like I don't want to play Resident Evils of War or whatever the fuck, Like
Right.
I mean, and then even did you get a chance to play Operation Raccoon City at all?
The multiplayer game?
Yeah, it was an online multiplayer game
Yeah,
where you
it
were
was
running around as like
shitty.
SWAT team. It was extremely shitty. I mean,
was
it had
really
a,
bad.
I mean, it was just a very generic game, and that's the problem. Like, I mean, when you think of Resident Evil, I mean, that was and I know a lot of franchises that have been around for a long time, they do suffer fatigue. So maybe Resident Evil is one of
Yeah.
those franchises. But
Well, if one,
I mean,
like anymore, if one game like catches any kind of popularity, they'll burn the fuck out of that game until
you're not.
it just
kidding.
doesn't make money
No.
anymore. So that's
I
kind of
mean,
what they
and
did with the Resident Evil series.
And it's kind of interesting to tie it back to the first episode, but yeah, I mean that's basically why Ken Levine didn't want to work on BioShock anymore because
Yeah,
he knew how important BioShock was to
right.
gaming,
And you don't just want to
um,
ride that thing into the ground. You
because
want
it
to
can
leave it
happen.
with how it was. It was a good series of games.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Mega Man X games. I mean, like Mega Man X 1 through 5 were okay. Mega Man X 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you got the Mega Man X6. It started to be like, what is this? And then
Oh yeah,
7,
they just
8, and
started
9.
having
And
them
it's just
crank
like,
them out because they
it's
were
like I think
super
by
popular games.
Dude, I think by Mega Man X9, you're not even Mega Man anymore. I think you're playing fucking like some other robot thing.
Your
I don't even.
Jigglypuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. You're playing Jigglypuff. And it's like, what the shit is this? And it makes no sense. So I mean, I don't know. This could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe Capcom looked at their financials and they were like, oh, fuck. Like we need to do something because we are suffering. Now it doesn't really go into anything about like how well they're doing or how fucked up they're doing or anything like that.
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh well, it
I
looks
mean,
like actually
if they put a ton of money into Street Fighter Five,
right.
they probably didn't make any of it back.
You mean I don't think it did. It's being on a PlayStation 4 exclusive probably hurt it. It was on
Oh,
PC,
definitely.
but I don't think that really helped it a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fighting fans did. You know what's actually kind of fucked up about Street Fighter 5? That game, and I think actually the creator came out and said this that the game was rushed. It wasn't supposed to come out when it did.
Well, they wanted to rush it for their tour they were doing. They were
For
like pro
the
fighting
Capcom Pro
tour.
the
Yeah.
Capcom Pro Tour. Yeah, they rushed it for the fighting ring.
And you can tell that game's geared towards pro
Right.
players because they didn't have any tutorials
Yeah,
for
there
new
was
players, which were the people that buy these games. They're not the majority of the people that buy these games aren't super high level fighting players.
yeah. I mean, it's fans of Street Fighter. It's fans of these
Right.
franchises, and they want their characters. And I mean, you couldn't like Guile was a DLC character they just
Yeah.
released. Guile has been. I mean, he wasn't in Street Fighter 4, but I mean, he was in the alpha games and shit. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, a fan favorite Guile. He's in Street Fighter
Yeah.
1. I mean, that's like if you took fucking Kano out of Mortal Kombat. It's like what the shit, or Ken or Ryu or something. It's just like you don't fucking do that.
Yeah, the game just released completely bare bones. There was
So-
nothing to it besides their online multiplayer, and there was a story mode, but it wasn't even
No,
a
there
story
wasn't.
mode.
There's not a story. There's no arcade mode.
Oh, really?
There's just online and local co-op modes. There's
Yeah.
no arcade mode at all, which is very insane.
How can anymore can you release a game like that?
I don't know.
Where one of your competitors, like Mortal Kombat, they released a fully fleshed out game with
And
tons of different modes, towers, all sorts of shit.
and thinking about how Capcom is making really poor decisions in 2015 and now in 2016,
Yeah.
this really scares me for the Resident Evil franchise. Like I'm thinking if there's one more bad Resident Evil game, that might be it. Like
Yeah,
I do
I
not
wouldn't
see.
doubt it.
Like if Resident Evil 7, if that's what they're doing, comes out and it sucks, if it's just a continuation of the same kind of shit, it's getting away from what Resident Evil was. I
Fucking
don't.
hope not.
I mean, they had a little bit of hope when they said they were remaking Resident Evil 2, but with this, I mean, Shinji Mikami's not there anymore. With this team that
Right.
they're working with right now on these games, I mean, they are gearing them towards different audiences. They're not.
I mean, I
they're
just
not
hope
our
that
games.
I hope Resident Evil 2 isn't a complete mess of shit.
I mean,
Like,
I honestly
what
don't
is
know
that
how
gonna
you.
be?
I honestly don't know how bad you could fuck up Resident Evil 2.
Like,
but when I think
I
about
wish
it, you
they
could
would
probably
just
fuck it
make
up.
it with not tank controls, but the way the old style remakes were, like how Resident
Yeah.
Evil Zero is and how the
Right.
remake is.
They should just.
I wish they would
seriously-
just do it like that with like pre-rendered, really nice backgrounds. I mean, you can animate in them, shit.
Dude, I
'cause-
would be honestly happy if Capcom just used that engine and just
Yeah.
completely just put Resident Evil 2, 3, Code Veronica all
Oh,
in that
God.
style and just hey.
Nemesis would be awesome.
Oh god, dude, Nemesis is my favorite one.
Maybe
I
they'll
would
announce
love
that. Maybe that's
Oh,
another big thing.
Good lord, man. If they are, then that would restore my faith in them because I mean they've lost me in almost every other sector of
Yeah.
their development team. I mean, I don't have faith in Street Fighter anymore. I don't have faith in Mega Man at all. Devil May Cry is what the fuck happened with 4
I don't
and
know.
and
That
then
was
the
weird.
remake DMC was fucking shit. And
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's scary time. So I don't know. I mean, this could be good news from Capcom, but maybe it's a blessing in disguise. But at the same time, it's like
I wish they would make something good like that that would catch a lot of people's attention and make people want to play survival horror games again. Because I don't think a game like The Evil Within did that for the most part. Or the last big game that survival horror kind of game that really impressed me was the Dead Space games.
oh yeah, Dead
And
Space is
the
good.
third one was a pile of shit because
Yeah.
they ran it into the ground, like you were saying.
Same thing, right? Yeah,
The first two are awesome. Those are
You know what was interesting about the Evil Within? Did you get a chance to play that? I don't know if you
No,
played
I've,
Evil.
I've never played it.
Oh well, it's through and through a Shinji Mikami game. So I mean, it
Yeah.
feels like Shadows of the Damned. It feels like Resident Evil 4. Like it feels like like survival horror. Like I mean, you can tell that like
Oh
the
yeah,
DNA of survival horror is here. And yeah, if you guys don't know, Shinji Mikami created Resident Evil. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, he
yeah.
created the game. So I mean, that's why he is actually named the Godfather of survival horror. So I mean, when he made Evil Within, people were really excited for it. Now, the story's a little meh for the Evil
Yeah.
Within. It wasn't my favorite, but I mean,
Because
the
you're like
whole
a detective that gets trapped in like an asylum or something like that.
oh, it's a mind fuck. It's
Yeah.
yeah, you get trapped in an asylum, and then it turns out there's like you're trapped in some
Like another
serial
world. It
you're
almost
trapped in
seemed
a
like a
serial
Silent Hill
killer's
type
mind
story.
and stuff. Yeah, it's
Oh,
got
okay.
Silent Hill aspects. I mean, it feels almost like Suda 51 was in there, but if he was, then there would have been more boobs and guts and stuff
Yeah,
like that than there
giant
was.
naked women's. And
Bouncing on boobies.
Yeah.
You remember the part of fucking Shadows of the Dam where
Yeah.
you're literally jumping on massive boobies, like your girlfriend's dead, you're like watching her decapitated, and I mean, it was an insane game. Shadows of the Dam is fucking wild,
Well,
man.
Suda makes just bizarre games. I think wasn't he the one that made Lollipop Chainsaw too?
He did, yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Make you all
which
that.
is ridiculous.
And then I saw he's making something else. I forget what it was. I saw that he's working on something else, but it's equally as disturbing and graphic. And
He's
fucked
always
up,
going to
you know?
have insane games that I'll just like playing.
Yeah, if Suda's not making games, then I'm gonna stop playing games because I mean I always just like, what is he up to? Oh, cool, I'm jumping.
Oh,
on
he's making
boobies.
another insane, batshit
Yeah.
crazy game. Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad somebody's giving him money to do
Yeah.
insane shit.
So you know, I mean, if you guys were fans of Resident Evil, if you ever want to kind of feel like that, I would recommend Evil Within because it did have some really interesting things. It also kind of felt close to home at times because I mean, you
Yeah.
were running around and you know, I mean, the tank controls were there, and that was a huge thing. That
Oh,
Evil
really?
Within, yeah, the Evil Within had tank controls, man. I mean, that game did not control nice. I mean, but my argument to that game, a lot of people shit on Evil Within because of that, but I always said that the Evil Within feels like a survival horror game because of those controls. So I mean, basically, when you put tank controls in a game like a horror game like that, when you take control out of your player's hands and add that level of uncomfort because you can't really control
Yeah.
where you're going, you're running into walls and you're fucking all over the place. You can't get your shots right because there's no auto aim and shit. Unlike Resident Evil 6, you know, is what makes a really good horror game. Like, you know, no bullets. Like, fucking, I'm gonna open up a box and there's gonna be an enemy inside. There's no bullets, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Or you
like
read a note about a guy turning into a zombie
Yeah,
and they burst
exactly.
out of a closet.
Yeah, right, exactly, man. Taking it back to how it was, or you know, yeah, fucking just creating that level of fear and tension. That's not just what's on the screen. Like that's what a horror game is to me. It's like
Yeah.
I want to be afraid of something. I know it's there. I can't really figure it out or see what's happening, but I know it's there, and that fucking
I
terrifies
mean, you
me.
need to make the player feel desperate by limiting the amount of items, which Resident Evil usually did. You didn't have an endless amount of bullets that you can just keep firing this gun. You got to conserve bullets, and
Right,
you
and
have a
increments
limited
and-
inventory too,
Yeah, you got to
which was
conserve your
another big
herbs.
part is inventory
Right.
management. And I think maybe a lot of younger players nowadays probably wouldn't like inventory management and shit like that, but I think that causes more tension
It does.
because you're like, well, I got to leave this here, so you might have to leave some health behind or more
Right.
bullets because you might need to have to take a key with you that's going to open up a
That
new
is
level.
that is one thing that I didn't like about the Evil Within. Like you could just like carry a certain amount of everything, and then eventually you'd max out everything. Like each item you got
okay.
could get maxed out. So, you know, but I mean, if you increase the difficulty, then that would go away. So you can only carry so many or whatever. But yeah, but
mean,
yeah, no, that kind of stuff. That's what creates tension. I mean, creating stuff out of the screen, right? Like opening a box,
Right.
not finding something that you thought would be there, or
Yeah.
opening a room. Oh, it's supposed to be a save room. It's not. It's a fucking
Well,
zombie
I
infested
think that's
torture
what
chamber.
I think that's what Alien Isolation did perfectly was their whole dynamic of kind of progressing was getting to those save boxes, and you kind of see where they were on the map, and you'd kind of just be like booking to get to the save box,
Oh,
and you could get killed while you're saving,
Yeah.
so you have to like make sure
Well,
you're
it happened
safe.
many a time.
Like when you
The
stick
fucking-
that key
the-
in
the-
and
the-
you're just waiting for it to save, it's like boop, and it's got to boot
"Dilly,
boot up.
dilly."
It's
Yeah.
like, boop, boop. You're like Jesus, just save.
I remember like so many times I would just see like the alien hand creep around you.
Oh, God.
Like you'd be safe like,
Like,
and it would just creep in front of the camera and grin fucking take you out.
Or you
know?
hear it, or you hear it like bounce out of the ceiling, land on the ground
Oh,
behind
God,
you.
that
Like,
was the
no,
fucking
save.
worst. Oh my god, yeah, when you just hear like the grates fucking.
Because
busting
sometimes there
stuff.
was like long areas that you had to get through before you could save again.
Yeah, because
It's
I mean,
just-
I don't. Yeah, there was no auto save. You had to go to each.
It was just
each
intense.
save box. It was yeah, man.
And I don't know what Sega's gonna do with that game. I mean, if
I do remember hearing
They make another one.
I remember hearing about a year ago they were hiring a lot of people for a really big name game. They didn't say what it was. So
we
here's
saw
hope-
that get announced at
E3. I'm gonna shit
E3.
myself.
That's as close as you're going to get to a new awesome survival horror game.
I'm also thinking we'll get Evil Within 2. I'm thinking Shinji Mikami,
I'd be
Bethesda
cool
did
with that
very
because
well.
I,
Yeah.
I should go play Evil Within. I don't know.
I have it if you want to
so-
borrow it. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
an Xbox that you can borrow it, man. So
yeah, definitely.
it's definitely a good experience if you want
Well,
to get Resident Evil. Yeah, go that route.
yeah, and if people want to play a good classic survival horror game, the way they were meant to be played and made, just go get the remake on. It's
Right.
available now. The remaster, the remake. It's
Yeah, and even
really
it
good.
comes with Resident Evil Zero, and that's also
Yeah.
a very, very well done game. That actually introduced some new concepts, like where you have to switch between Rebecca and Billy to figure out things. So it was like there was
Oh,
two
wow.
players, but it was one player. Yeah, you had to go through one room as Rebecca, then switch back to Billy. He was the other character, and then you had to like kind of get keys, like put a key in a lift, and then put the key up there, and then
Right,
switch back to
right.
her so she can open something, and then whatever. So yeah, I mean it did put a whole it was a whole other thing because you had to keep two characters alive, which was kind of crazy. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, but come back to this. I hope for good things. I always do. I hope. I don't want Capcom.
I do
to
too.
burn,
I mean,
want
I'd
a
like
good
to see
Resident
the
Evil again.
Resident Evil series go back to their roots. I mean, they don't have to do it entirely because Resident Evil 4 wasn't completely. I mean, it did do things. That was the first game that gave you the ability to rotate the camera
Yes.
around. But
did.
that game was excellent and it made you on edge and shit.
And now that you mention that, actually, that was one of the best things about Resident Evil 4, and I think that's why Resident Evil 4 was so cool because it was the first time you were able to kind of circle the entire camera and it wasn't a set camera. But I mean,
Yeah.
every time you did it, like there'd be a chainsaw guy behind you.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be 5 fucking guys on your right.
Or
There's 2
the-
guys on your left. So it added a whole new level of tension because you think it's something that's going to help you, but really just that 360 degree of turning ability just fucked you so much more because you're like, oh my god, how am I supposed to get out of
When
here?
you'd get like backed into a corner a lot in that game too. Like
Yeah.
there'd be tons of villagers and you can only go backwards so slowly and then just fire on them and try to get a couple headshots and run away.
Now let me ask you this: if they announce Resident Evil 7, would you want a complete reboot of the franchise, or do you think that they can salvage anything and everything that they've come up to this point? Like, I mean, go back
I think
to
the lore is so convoluted now that
that is a problem
it's
with
just
Resident
fucking
Evil.
insane. Like
Yeah, I mean, that's what
I
happens
have
with
no clue
franchises.
what's going on anymore. I don't know.
It doesn't even really matter, honestly. I mean,
I guess
Umbrella's
not.
gone, and there's a new thing that rose up, and now there's a BSAA, the Bio Stars, there's
Yeah, like-
terrorism shit. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter.
I liked it better when it was just in this one city and
Yeah.
bad shit was
and that's what I always remember saying. Like, I always remembered, like, okay, once they destroyed Raccoon City,
yeah, they
like,
nuked the shit.
once I saw they nuked the shit out of Raccoon City, like, I was just like, I think this series is done. I don't know where they're gonna go from here. What are they gonna do? And Resident Evil 4
Right,
was
but
cool
then,
for that
then
because
Nemesis was before it takes place during 2, right?
it takes place right after 1 and right before 2.
So it's in the middle.
like,
Okay.
yeah, it's like it takes him. So basically,
So that worked.
yeah.
It's just they're just filling in these missing areas, I guess.
Right. So I mean, even Resident Evil 7 can maybe try to go back to Raccoon City.
Maybe.
I don't know. Because I mean, they did that with the Outbreak games. I don't know if you ever played those. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
you were just regular citizens trying to escape Raccoon City, which was kind of interesting, but still, it felt just kind of, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
It was like an online co-op.
Yeah, on
Evil game.
PlayStation 2, right?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
really weird.
That was actually the first like co-op online game I ever played besides like Warcraft 2 on the PC. But yeah, it was crazy. There was a bus driver, there was a
Right.
maid, there was all these fucking weird shit like a bartender, and then you had to like work in co-op groups to get out of there. And I remember fucking like just one guy would die and everybody would run away. You're just like, oh man,
Like no.
they're
Oh, yeah, and they
screaming.
could turn into zombies too when they died.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
couldn't, like,
I
attack
think in
you.
the second one they could. I don't know about the first one, but yeah, they could, man. It was crazy, but I don't know, man.
Like I'd be cool with something like that if they wanted to make a co-op game, but make it more of an open world, not like an open world game, but
Right.
I don't know what I would compare it to, but I just hope they don't keep going down this like super hyper action game
Me neither, man.
shooter bullshit.
Yeah, I think they can learn a lot from what Shinji Mikami's doing with Evil Within. I really think they can learn off what
Yeah.
Sega did with Alien Isolation. I mean, hell, they could even look at some of what indie developers are doing, like with Allison Road and tons of
Right,
other stuff. I mean,
right.
even like some of the VR games, like Paranormal Activity and things that are coming
Yeah.
out. I mean, there's like a lot of things they can look towards to find tension and fear. I mean, look at PT. Everything is like held up to PT, as of recently. And it's like, look at PT and see what that did with just one fucking hallway. You know what I mean?
I know,
Like
right?
you didn't need a city, you didn't need a mansion.
there's not much
you
to
needed
that,
one
and
hallway.
It's it's more of an experience. You're just like walking through,
And ultimately,
observing, and shit
right.
changes.
And I mean, ultimately, and that's what it is. That's what was creepy about PT was that you knew something was there, but you didn't. You could never see it, and that's what freaked you out. Like you always turn around. Nope, same hallway. You turn around, the same hallway. Turn around. Oh shit, the lights are off. It's just like,
Right.
and that's the layer of stuff that I think that Capcom could really
I mean,
use going
would you be
forward.
cool like of a Resident Evil game like that where like PT? What I like about that is it's more confined. You're not in these big like open. It's like more
Right.
realistic the way hallways in the house are designed
It's
and rooms
personal.
are. They're small.
It's personal.
It's
Yeah.
not like this big complex. I don't know. I think it would be cool to have some kind of camera where you're zoomed in that tight and you're in these confined places, or if it was first person.
The thing about PT, there's nowhere to hide. I mean, you
Right,
go in the
exactly.
bathroom, and then all of a sudden you're like, I want to get out of the bathroom. I'm
Yeah,
fucking
there's
stuck in here.
bad
And
things happening here now.
there's no, and then you get out of there, and you're like, oh my god, there's a freezer swinging on top of the thing and stuff like that.
There's
Oh my
somebody up on the
god.
balcony.
I
Oh my god.
exactly. And I mean,
It's a fucking shame they didn't
oh,
get to
yeah,
do anything with that.
I know.
I mean, you think they would have as a last ditch thing, but because that was so huge, people loved that.
People still
And then
talk about it.
they're just like, no, we're gonna
Yeah,
make slot machines.
they just canned it. They fucking canned
That's
Hideo
like fucking
Kojima.
insane to me. I don't understand.
Nobody does. That's I cried. Being such a huge survival horror fan, I was like, yes, my game that I want. Norman
Right, I would
Reedus,
love to see more
Guillermo
horror
del Toro,
games.
they're all getting on top of
Yeah.
this, and all of a sudden it's like, nope. Have fun, fuckers. Have fun
But
eating Resident Evil 7.
good luck,
You're gonna
fuckers.
fucking love that. Well, let me ask you one question before we kind of switch topics here.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a little bit about Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah.
What would you like to see in a Resident Evil 2 remake? Because this could potentially be something that they may tease at E3 that we may get Resident Evil 2 remake in 2017 possibly. So what would you like to see changed? Anything
I don't know.
added or?
That's what I was thinking about when you brought it up earlier. I mean, I guess they can do. They did away with the tank controls in the remake port,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, they added.
I'm cool with that because tank
digital,
controls are could be a little awkward, and they might turn people away from buying the game too.
right.
Um, I don't know that's such a big game, and it was one of my favorite games at the time. It's a really deep, like long story too, and it takes you to a lot of
It was kind of like
different
Terminator 2 to
places.
Terminator. I mean, it was just like
Yeah.
it was insane. Or
Right.
Aliens to Alien. I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was a beautiful sequel. It was just
Oh
like,
yeah,
it
it's
did
great.
things that we didn't know could be done. So,
No, they took the first game and they just completely expanded on it. They did all, and they added new crazy enemies and
yeah,
all sorts of
the
shit.
liquors and
Yeah,
all
the
that
liquors.
shit. Yeah, yeah.
Because it's
So
like,
so basically, leave everything alone except for update the controls.
yeah, I guess I'm not. I mean, I don't think that's what they're gonna do. I have a feeling they're gonna go the over-the-shoulder camera, third person, where you're swinging around. I don't think they're gonna do static environments and shit like that.
Oh,
I mean, it'd be cool if they did. I would love it
Yeah.
if they did, but
I mean, something so tension.
I hope they leave the story the exact same way, the exact same set pieces and all that shit.
I do too.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm fine if they like add stuff to it, but
Well, what would you like
I
to
hope-
see? Like, do you like? Can you think of an addition that you would like to see? Like, I mean, a character or another location? Like, I mean, what would you think? I don't know. I'm just snowballing. So I mean, if you can't, I don't know.
I don't know. It would be
It's-
cool if they expanded the beginning of the game where you're like in the city,
Mm.
because I feel like that goes way too fast. I think
Yeah.
I think it should be a little longer where you're like trying to survive outside and then you get to the police station.
That would be cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like something like that. Like kind of like in like maybe combine like Resident Evil 3 with 2. Like in
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 you were like in apartment buildings and you were kind of
Right.
all over the like
Yeah,
in the
that-
park and stuff
that'd
and
be really
before.
neat.
Yeah, because like you're right in Resident Evil 2
Because
like
the
you
police
literally
station's
start
the main set piece. That's
Right.
That's like the main area you're in for
Yeah, you're
a
in
lot
the,
of the game.
Yeah, then you go to the sewers, and then you're like in
Yeah.
the fac or the laboratory at the end of the game, and then you're done with it pretty much. So
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of locations. So I mean, yeah, an expanded locations would be cool. But I do want to see the same enemies. I want to see the fucking alligator come back. I
Yeah.
want to be able to kill the alligator with the
Crocosaur.
the crocosaur. I want to be able to kill him with the fucking tank. I
Yeah,
want to
knock
shoot
the
that
tank
down
down.
and have him eat it, and he blows his head off. Yeah, I still want to be able to do that kind of stuff. So Now, what did you feel about some of the companions? Like, I mean, do you still want to see Sherry back? Do you still want to see Ada Wong back? Like, did you
Yeah, Ada
like
Wong
that?
is like classic character. I still want to
Yeah.
see the shopkeep in the beginning.
Yeah, I gotta
That
have that
guy.
guy. And you know what was weird about that? Like he changed his tone depending on who you were. Like if you were Leon, he was all like,
That's
"Hey,
right.
what the fuck?" Oh,
Yeah.
but then
He's
when
like,
Claire,
oh.
yeah, but then when Claire went in there, he's like, "Hello,
He's like,
little lady."
hello.
He's like, "I'm going to protect you with my crossbow." It's like, "Ooh, are you now?" No, you're not. I guess eaten by zombies. They just bust through the window and shit. So.
And then you just panic and run out the back door like, oh dear God.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's an exciting time to be a Resident Evil fan.
I think
According to
I think
this,
it would be
but
cool if they had the intro. Oh no, I guess that wouldn't work. Because by the time they got to the city, like shit was already fucked, right?
yeah,
In
right.
Seal 2.
Yeah, because you know, basically they tried to contain it in the first game, but
Yeah.
then they got out because they blew up the mansion, and then that didn't work.
I mean, I
So
was gonna say it would be cool to see Raccoon City in a state of deterioration when it just breaks out, and there's
mm.
like people running around like trying to get away from zombies being killed and shit.
Yeah, I mean they kind of did, but that was the thing about Resident Evil 3 because Resident Evil 3
Yeah,
comes before, so that's when
right.
like you know Umbrella went in and started taking out people and
Yep.
stuff. So I mean like Resident Evil 2 kind of takes place like you know a lot of people are already dead. There's like literally no one
Yeah,
left at that point.
they
So
get to the city and it's a ghost town. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
right,
Damn
yeah.
zombie truck driver comes out of
The
nowhere,
zombie. He's my
fucks
favorite.
everything up.
He's always like he's like the damn maniac. What about me? I always remember
He
that
bit
guy.
me.
He bit me. Ah, I always loved that guy. He was like, what about me? It's like he's a fucking zombie. Why do you think he bit you? You're in Raccoon City, you jackass. It's like I don't think that was what I would say. I'd be like, oh my god. I think I'd be
Yeah, I
calling the
wouldn't keep
police
on my
or something.
trucking route after being
Yeah, I
bit
know.
by
He's like
fucking
the
zombie.
damn maniac. What about me? I'm getting the hell out of here now.
He's like, I need to get to the diner now.
I need to go. I need to go find Claire Redfield and go find Leon F. Kennedy and sell him a shotgun and a fucking crossbow. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. That guy's fucking stupid as shit. Oh man, fucking Resident Evil though.
Yeah,
Such a fantastic.
has such a crazy
franchise.
history, but
I just hope it has a future. That's all I hope for.
I hope so too.
I think a lot of people, if this one sucks, they're done, man.
Or I think the big announcement will be Resident Evil iOS games, touch games.
Oh god.
Tap Resident Evil.
Oh god, I even think of that, dude. Good lord, tapping it,
Be
tapping it.
horrible.
Resident Evil 7, tap it
Maybe
time.
they said they invested all their money into a Resident Evil theme park,
Or
which
a
would be
pachinko.
pretty cool.
Actually, I did hear that a few years ago in Japan, Hollywood Horror Nights, it was a Resident Evil theme. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right.
They
Yeah.
made it up like Raccoon City and shit, but yeah, you know, I don't know. Capcom's not that cool here.
No, they're not.
They'll give us fucking Resident Evil Tap It Town.
Little kids would be like, "What's Resident Evil?"
Plants versus Resident
Yeah.
Evil Town.
Oh, there you go.
Tap it on the evilness and get out all the residents. Feed them candy. They love candy. Oh man. Well, you want to switch gears? You want to talk about some Call of Duty Infinite Warfare negativity?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right. Well, you go first because I don't have the story. I think you have the story about what's going on with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Well,
And
Call of Duty is releasing another annual game, as they've been for a long fucking time now.
not news at all, but
No.
there is news here. So don't. Yeah,
But-
we all knew Call of Duty 7,000 was gonna happen.
So
but-
Call of Duty was always they started out as a World War II game, and they were awesome games on the PC, and a couple came to consoles, and then they switched on I think it was
I
the
remember like
360.
Big Red 1 and shit. Big Red 1 was awesome.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
did like Russian campaigns and all sorts of different World War II campaigns that were these massive epic battles, and that's what Call of Duty was known for, was World War II stuff. But I think on the 360, that era, when that first came out, they made a game called Modern Warfare, which was their first warfare game in modern times. So you had modern weapons and all that kind of stuff.
See, now I never played Modern Warfare. I mean, that might be blasphemy to a lot of people, but I've never played that. I played Modern Warfare 2,
Yeah.
so I'm familiar with like that game, that gameplay. But,
Right. So
Um,
Modern Warfare pretty much instilled a lot of the shooter gameplay dynamics that you see nowadays.
kind of like some of the norms that you see today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a lot of things like aiming down sights. Like they were one of, I mean, games had done that before, but you could aim down like the sights of your gun. And one of the biggest things was their multiplayer really changed a lot of things how shooters are today. They started the kill streak kind of thing where if you kill a certain amount of people in a game, you can call like an airstrike or you can call whatever. So the multiplayer really launched that game into its popularity of what it is today. But then after that, they released a whole shit ton of them. But Modern Warfare was probably the most beloved of that series because
And
it
what
really
war did
changed.
that? What war was that? Was that World War II still, or was that in
No,
a different?
Modern Warfare was just like your modern, like nowadays
Oh,
wars.
okay, like
Yeah,
just like in the desert or something. I don't even know. Like,
I think in that one they do shit in Russia. It's kind of all over the place. The single
okay,
player,
because I know in Modern Warfare 2, there's like in suburbia, and then you go to like fucking
yeah,
the out the like there's a snow level I
yeah.
remember and shit. And
That's kind of how all the Modern Warfare games are.
okay,
You see it from behind the eyes of different operatives and different secret military forces running operations throughout the world, just
mm.
using modern weapons. But yeah, Modern Warfare was a huge game and really beloved by the community that plays those games. And they announced recently that they've completely went through and remastered the entire game, brought it up to today's standards, I guess, of visuals and gameplay and how it runs.
Huh.
But they announced that you can only get it by buying the new Call of Duty. So you,
Whoa.
so you can't buy it standalone. You have to
So,
buy.
but it's going to be completely remade for PS4, Xbox One, PC,
Yeah,
but
it's a complete game. It's the whole game. Just
you can't buy it.
you can't buy it standalone. You have
You
to.
cannot buy it.
You need to purchase the new Call of Duty, which is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Oh my god! So we have entered a whole new fucking level of DLC.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my
They put
god!
a game behind a game paywall.
Oh my god! How is it? What the fuck? Leave it to EA. Worst
Right.
company in the fucking world.
I mean,
Seventh time in a row.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I was reading the Call of Duty games have dropped drastically in sales from what they once were. I
Yeah.
mean, that's to be expected because Call of Duty's just like how Madden games are. They release the same fucking game each year with
Right.
really no changes in gameplay.
It's
or
like, hey, now you
anything
can
added.
jump on walls.
Yeah.
Hey, now you can slide under
Right.
things. Hey, now
So,
you can
so
vault over stuff.
the last couple Call of Duties were like futuristic, and the new Infinite Warfare is going to be a future-based warfare game.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I mean, is there
I don't-
anything
I
you
don't
can
know.
talk about there? Infinite Warfare, or is it just gonna?
not really. I saw they released a trailer. Just
Does it
looks
have
like,
Does it have Kevin Spacey in it again, or does it
no,
have?
I don't think Snoop Dogg and Kevin Spacey. are-
Dude, I want fucking Sling Blade in it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
What's his name? Fucking
You
Billy
just
Bob
before
Thornton.
it. Didn't
I
mean
want
to
fucking
hurt.
yeah, I want fucking Billy Bob Thornton in that shit. He's got French fry taters.
Some called a cow's blade.
That'd be amazing if Billy Bob Thornton came. He was like,
Oh
"What
my
the
god, that'd be
hell?"
badass.
And then it'd be all his characters, like fucking Bad Santa would be in that shit. He'd be like, "No, you little puncher bastard." That'd be
You
amazing.
just had Billy Bob Thornton as Billy Bob Thornton in the game.
That'd be
I'm Billy
fucking-
Bob Thornton.
He dies all the time.
Yeah.
Resurrect him. He's just like, you can't kill me, motherfucker. All right, thanks, Angelina Jolie.
No, but the Call of Duties had like I remember they had Michael Myers in one of their DLCs in one of their games.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, I was.
There was a game mode where one person would
be.
be one person would be Michael Myers roaming around, and you had to kill him.
Now, is this still going to be developed by Infinity Ward? The same people that did Ghosts and all that stuff like that. Do you know?
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
so. Yeah, because
Alright, yeah.
this isn't like Black Ops, which was an offshoot of the Call of Duty series,
Hmm.
or yeah, this is just the modern. I don't. Well, I guess it's not Modern Warfare because they call it Infinite Warfare, so it's
So it's like
just its
Advanced
own thing.
Warfare. Maybe it's a sequel to Advanced Warfare. I don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't. The last Call of Duty game I played was the first Black Ops, and that was years ago. And yeah, I don't know. These games just don't hold interest for me because they're the same fucking game every year. It's the same. Like people, they release these short campaigns, which are a couple hours you can blow through.
Mhm.
They're nothing really special. It's just linear hallway shooting. They don't really do anything new, like with the shooter genre.
Mhm.
And the multiplayer is always just the same, just with different maps.
And you're not alone in thinking this, because actually another little piece of news we can talk about with this is that the trailer for Infinite Warfare that announced all of this, the new
Yeah.
Call of Duty, and then also that you can get the remade Modern Warfare as the only way you can buy that game is as we talk about. But basically everybody in the world hated this. It has the
Yeah.
most. It's actually one of the most downvoted videos on YouTube of 2016 thus far. And basically the CEO came out of Infinite. The CEO of Activision, excuse me, Eric Hirschberg came out and he commented on The repulsive amount of fan hate that this video got and that this franchise is receiving. So according to Luke Riley of IGN, Activision CEO Eric Hirschberg has addressed the strong reaction to the debut trailer for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is in an address to investors. Revealed earlier this week, the new Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer, published by the official Call of Duty YouTube channel, immediately began accumulating likes and dislikes at a far more even rate than had been the case of previous Call of Duty revealed trailers. This is Hirschberg talking himself. First of all, you gotta love the passion of gamers, says Hirschberg in his statement.
Oh, of course.
This is an industry like no other and a fan base like no other. We love that our fans treat this franchise like their own and have such strong points of view about it. And he goes on to say, there just aren't many entertainment franchises on Earth that can generate the kind of passion that Call of Duty can. ... And
Sounds
that's
like
a good
he's
thing.
buttering up to like say something like "fuck you."
Pretty
Stop.
much. Oh, but he continues. He had a long
my
statement.
God.
Secondly, of course we know there are people in our community who are nostalgic for the boots-on-the-ground style gameplay. That's why we made Modern Warfare Remastered. But we also
Jesus.
have millions of people in our community who want to have new inventive experiences in the game each year, and Infinite Warfare is going to deliver that. The good news is, this year, this is still Hirschberg talking, is a huge thing.
Yeah.
The good news, but this is like last paragraph. The good news is, this year we found a way to deliver both in one package while keeping our community together. So he's looking at this like, oh, we'll bring the old community and the new community together, and they're going to make babies.
Or they're trying to rope in old players that have previously quit playing their games because of their horse shit.
I mean,
but they're putting it behind like, well, you got to join our new community playing our new game.
That's the
if
reality.
you want to play that old game that you liked. Like, it's fucking bullshit.
While, of course, we see the passionate opinions online, we also look at the other measurements, and the fact is, while it's very early, pre-orders are off to a very strong start. Views of the reveal trailer are up, and in fact, the number of likes per view on the Infinite Warfare trailer are the highest we've ever seen. What?
it's all like fucking damage control.
It literally is, man. I mean, this is just fucking it's cringeworthy almost.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we know you guys hate our game, but you know what? We don't care.
No, we made another shoot the mans game. You like shooting the mans?
Oh wait, we got this is another quote from Hirschberg, and that went on. Wait, he said, he explained that Call of Duty Black Ops 2 had the most dislikes of any reveal trailer the publisher had unveiled at that point, and he said that went on to become our most successful game to date. So Black Ops 2. So he's actually equating this hate with the amount of hate that Black Ops 2 received, or the trailer. So not the actual game, but the trailer.
The trailer.
So he's saying this is going to be the best game we've ever released again, in his words.
Yeah,
kind
you
of.
say that every fucking year.
Yeah, I know. Like, this is going to be best Call of Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty, gotta do it. And it's crazy how much, I respect Call of Duty because it's such an amazing franchise. I mean, that's why Activision is still here, because there's so many players that play Call of Duty. There's so many people that buy new consoles.
Well,
for Call
they
of
just
Duty. I mean,
turned it into a yearly franchise because the people that made Infinity Ward, those guys aren't there anymore. They started up Respawn, which makes Titanfall now.
Right.
So I don't know. They just saw it as like a money making thing and purchased Infinity Ward basically, and they just crank them out every year.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, 24 hours after this article went live, the amount of disc likes are up to about 400,000.
Holy shit.
And it looks like it's continuing to go. So, I mean, probably at this point, it's people just going on and disliking it at this point because it's like a thing now, I guess. But,
sure.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like people are, like, really fucking pissed about this. I mean, basically, Hirschberg just keeps going on to, like, shine the Call of Duty franchise, and he's talking about how awesome Black Ops 3 is, and Black Ops 2 people didn't like, and he just keeps going on and going. I mean, he talks for forever about this. So, I mean, basically, it's just like, we're going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to buy it. We don't give a shit about you or really anybody else out there, so... but I mean, I know you don't really play Call of Duty for a lot of the reasons that we already kind of talked about. Because
but there's a lot of younger kids that's what they do. It's a competitive thing. They don't really buy it for a single player. It's a competitive thing. Like the Madden games, people buy them because they like football and playing against people online.
But let's kind of break this down a little bit further. Like, would you buy this game to play Modern Warfare Remake? Like,
I don't think so because I'm more interested in playing a lot of the newer shooters out there. I don't think I have that much of a fondness for Modern Warfare. I mean,
I guess that's what it would come down to. Like,
yeah. I mean, if they put it up on Xbox Live for $20, I'd buy it.
I
Just
mean,
to
do you
play
think that
again.
they will, or do you think this is gonna
No,
be?
they're gonna
You,
put it behind the paywall.
you think they're gonna put it behind a paywall? Like they're never gonna release this unless you buy this? Because I
Yeah,
mean, this game's gonna be like $10 next year. I mean, it's gonna
right,
come out this year. I don't think there was a date on it though. I mean, it's probably gonna come out in November, like they all do.
right.
But I mean, you could buy Advanced Warfare right now for like 10, $15. So
Yeah,
this is probably gonna be a bargain bin game eventually because they're gonna sell millions of copies and just like whatever, we don't care, we made our money back, so fuck you. And then so I mean, I don't know. Do you really see that? I mean, do you think this may be the start of paywall games? We have paywall content.
I mean, you got to look at the company that's doing this though, Activision. Like they do a lot of
Exactly.
that kind of shit with their games. They're
Yeah.
known for doing that. So I don't know. I mean, this is a new a new one. Like that would be if Capcom released their new Resident Evil and put Resident Evil 2 behind it,
I mean, that is
which would be
essentially what it
fucked
would be
up.
like. Like, hey, we remade Resident Evil 2, but
Oh
you
my
have to buy
God, that
Resident Evil 7 to get the Resident Evil 2 remake. So I mean, that's kind of an interesting question. I mean, do you see other companies potentially doing this if this works well? Like, I mean,
I mean,
I
if
don't
it
see
does
people.
well, and I mean, if it makes their
Well, I mean, it's
sales
gonna
go
do
up,
well. I mean, it's gonna do well. It's a Call of Duty game. Call of Duty always sells. I mean, you're talking a couple million in a few days. I mean, they're always selling in the 20s, 30 millions. Call of Duty always does fairly well. It's always like at the top tens of for months after it's released. So I mean, it's always one of the biggest games for holiday and everything
yeah,
like that. It sells consoles. There's always a Call of Duty bundle and there's always
right.
some Call of Duty shit. So I'm just wondering, like, I don't know. I don't know if a franchise like Resident Evil would equate themselves with Call of Duty, but I mean, this concept of paywall games, it's
Would
scary.
you buy Resident Evil 7 if they put Resident Evil 2 behind it and it was completely remastered and redone?
I mean, I don't know, man. That's what I'm fucking thinking about. It sucks,
Yeah,
But I could tell you I did do this, But I mean, I kind of wanted the game anyway. I've been Square Enix released Final Fantasy Type Zero HD on PS4, Xbox One.
yeah,
Now, Type Zero never came west. I wanted Type Zero. It was a PSP game, and then they never brought it here. You could have bought it because the PSP wasn't region locked. So then basically they were like, well, if you buy Type Zero HD, we'll give you a really kind of explorative demo of Final Fantasy 15. So it was like the day one edition or whatever. So I mean that kind of made me decide like, okay, I need to get this within like the first week or so, because if
right.
not, then I'm not going to be able to get this demo to try Final Fantasy 15, another fucking game we're waiting for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's not something like this where it's like you're actually paying for a game to get another game.
yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing where it's like we're
I
holding
just
this
think
over you and
it's
you can't have it unless you
right.
buy it. So
I think it's a marketing kind of gimmick, and they're just playing on people's nostalgia
yeah.
who really like that first game. And I mean, because they're losing a player base, and they're trying to get their old hardcore base back. I mean, they still have that hardcore base, or else they wouldn't be cranking these games out every year.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I think that's what they're doing, and I think it's kind of a shitty scumbag thing to do.
it's
But
extremely fucking
yeah,
scummy, dude. It is so fucking scummy to be like, yeah, we're gonna remake this game that probably a lot of people have nostalgia for today. Like, I mean, our retro games are Mega Man and fucking
yeah,
Chiki Boys and shit.
yeah,
Like we enjoy that level. But I mean, for a lot of younger players today, or players that are probably like in their 20s or whatever, like they're probably looking at Modern Warfare like, yeah, I remember playing that game when I was younger, and that
oh
like
yeah,
is gonna take me back, and that's gonna be an experience for them that they would like to have. So I mean, I don't know. I could see them doing that. If you're
yeah.
already thinking about buying Advanced Warfare, or what is it called, Infinite Warfare? I don't even
Infinite
fucking know.
Warfare.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you're thinking about buying Infinite Warfare and then they're going to give it to you, then I mean, I guess that's kind of good news.
yeah. I mean, that's a bonus,
It's a
right?
bonus, but I mean, if you're not thinking about buying it, but you do want that game, that's what
That's
sucks,
shitty. Yeah,
that's fucking shitty, no matter how you look at it, because it's like you're holding a game behind a fucking paywall, a whole fucking game that tons of people put time and effort into. I mean,
no, yeah.
they probably pawned it off to some fucking poor studio, that
Yeah,
fucking Activision just like picked up out of the
remaster
ground.
this, make it run nice.
Yeah, if you were gonna fucking give it away, motherfuckers, they're not gonna give any money for it. So I don't know, maybe they'll get the money for it, and kind of be set. But I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of a weird world that we're living in now.
I mean, I would hope it would only be a time thing where eventually they will, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see that. I see them releasing it. I see them. Maybe they're not going to say it for a year. Maybe it'll be an exclusive bundle, but then after that, I see them maybe trying to sell it to people. I don't know. It's just weird because Call of Duty's always end up in the fucking bargain bin. So I mean, are they going to make any money off of it anyway if they do that? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
But
weird,
they're
man.
they're a company that kind of like Nintendo, where the price of Modern Warfare never really goes down. Like that usually stays a full price game for a long
The
fucking
Modern
time.
Warfare does. That is true.
Uh,
You're actually that's a really interesting point. Because I remember I bought Modern Warfare 2 on the PS3 like 4 or 5 years after it came out. Because I remember, yeah, Modern Warfare 3 was coming out, and I picked up
yeah,
Modern Warfare 2 to see if I wanted to get into the franchise. I didn't like it. It was whatever. I mean, I'd try online, I would die in 5 seconds, and then I would play
yeah.
the campaign. It was done in like 2 hours, and
Well, that's the thing I don't like about the Call of Duty games. I love shooters. They're like
right,
FPS is probably my top genre that I play anymore.
right.
But I like games that encourage teamwork and working together. And Call of Duty encourages you just to get the most kills you can, and that's what they base like all the points on. There's
Right.
no helping each other. It's just even though there's like team deathmatch, you're not really doing anything to help your team besides just going lone wolf and getting all the kills.
And that's what was
I don't like that.
it was kind of interesting about the new Rainbow Six game that came out because that it heavily
Oh, that's
evolves
yeah.
on, or
And I
revolves
have that, and
around
I
team
love
based.
that game. It's
Yeah, I
great.
mean that revolves around team based combat.
Yeah, and you have to communicate with your team. You actually have to talk to people and coordinate attacks and shit.
Right.
That's the kind of multiplayer experience that I like.
And it's kind of interesting that I guess people just will continue like to kill streaks forever. I don't know, just
I don't know.
killing with new graphics and better guns and. Because I mean, modern, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I mean, I know it was a spin-off, but still, it was one of the best-selling
I mean,
games of this year.
it's just a huge IP. I mean, remember there was a time where they had it. Probably even for the new game, they'll have it like on fucking Mountain Dew cups, like at Taco
Oh,
Bell.
at Taco Bell,
Yeah,
they will. It'll be on fucking Doritos bags and shit
that's
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have to
Like,
buy Doritos to unlock a new gun. So.
they'll be like, gamers, gamers, gamers. Do you like Call of fucking Duty? If you don't, then you
Well,
suck.
I remember even
dicks."
Mountain Dew had like a Call of Duty flavor that
Yeah,
like that you
I
could
remember
buy.
that. I think it was like orange or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
I remember
shit
that.
like that.
Yeah, it was called like
Gamer
Juice
Fuel, yeah.
Gamer Fuel. Yeah, I remember that shit. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's kind of a weird world we're fucking living in now. Fucking paywall games. Holy shit.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, I know, right?
Huh.
Yay! It's so happy to be a gamer on Classic Speed.
It's like you get games behind games that they,
Do you say game was?
they need to
Can I
make
buy a
it
whole
so
wall
you
with the
buy the
games behind
game,
it?
but you can only buy the other game if you purchase that game,
Yeah,
and
if
then
you-
they'll put
if-
another game behind that.
But you have to pre-order that game 2 years in advance. But if you miss the cutoff, then you'll never get the DLC full game.
And you have to pay for the third game in wampum, so you have to find some Indian currency.
Start letting blood. I need our shots. Need my fucking games. We need 2 pints of blood for this motherfucker. It's a god. Oh man. I gotta move on to the last piece of news, and then
And related news, there's
in related news, we're gonna be talking about more
one of the other most popular
shooter games.
shooting game, shoot the man's
Shoot-ups.
games.
Shooters man's.
And this is one that I'm actually
Yeah.
a huge fan of that I've played.
And you take
all
this
the
one.
games.
I'll just commentate on this because you have this story. So and you actually know more about this franchise than I ever will. So yeah, you take the reins on this one, my friend.
Right, so people have been wondering when a new Battlefield game's coming out, and they had a press conference the other day talking about it. And Battlefield's been heading in kind of the same, not the same type of gameplay, but the same direction time-wise as Call of Duty, where they're moving ahead in the future and they have all these modern military games. But they started out similarly, where they're different from Call of Duty, where they're more of a team-based game on these big open battlefields, and you have actual vehicles and all sorts of vehicles and classes that you're playing with. But they started with in World War II as well, and now they moved the past couple battlefields, Battlefield 3 to 4, have been modern games. Well, Battlefield 2 to 4 were modern Battlefield games, and people thought the next one was going to be another modern game, and the new one actually they're going back to World War One with it, which was
Wow.
really interesting.
And this game is called Battlefield 1.
Battlefield
actually.
1.
Yeah. So that's
Because the
kinda-
very first Battlefield game was Battlefield 1942,
okay.
so that was World
Keeping
War
with
Two.
Right.
And then Battlefield 2 was the next big game after that, and that was a modern game. So there was never a Battlefield 1. So I guess
Like
they
this.
figure
I like this.
this is the first in the timeline. World
I like
War
where this
I.
is going. Actually.
Yeah.
I really
No,
do.
but they had a conference. They didn't really talk about it too much. They just showed a trailer,
Hmm.
And I mean, basically, the trailer shows a bunch of World War II crazy shit happening. They show the trench warfare of World War II. They show the crazy giant tanks that they had in World War II that could drive over trenches. They show
Hmm.
people on horses, actually, which would be a first for the series. So that I guess you can ride a horse in the game. And
Hmm.
it looks like there's a focus on melee combat in this too, which is
Wow,
really
that's crazy.
interesting.
You
Because
know,
like
that's what's interesting about fucking World War One in general, because I mean, it was like the turn of the
it was
century type of
close.
war.
It was close, close battles. You're not,
Right, you're in the
you
trenches
didn't have
and
snipers back then sniping from
right.
hundreds of yards out.
Yeah, you
This
don't have
is we're
fucking
charging at people with bayonets and shooting them,
right.
like, and there was chemical warfare too. That in the trailer you see mustard gas and
Oh
shit.
god, fucking
Um,
that's what's fucked up, man. You're gonna watch people fucking just suffocate and just implode
and
because they're
you
getting
see
fucking mustard
there's
bombed.
biplanes, which are the old style front rotor planes with the two wings on top of each other.
Hmm.
They had those, so you can do Red Baron type of dogfights. Um, what else did they show? Yeah, they showed guys with flamethrowers like torching trenches. They
Oh
didn't really
shit.
they didn't really show like a lot of gameplay, but I mean, I'm pretty excited for it because it's just something different.
Yeah.
And nobody's
Dave, there's never really been a World War One type of game in any. I mean, they're always
not a
future. They're always World War Two. There's been Vietnam with Rising Sun, Medal of Honor, Rising Sun, and there was a whole bunch of other Medal of Honor titles that.
no, but World War One was a giant giant war.
Yeah,
They had
I
machine
know.
guns and all these crazy
Yeah,
weapons too.
and they
So,
it was. I mean, it was definitely the first. It was the turn of the century. I mean, it was the first modern warfare. The first modern war. I mean, that's why it was the first World War. I mean, there was chemical gas and everything as we were talking about. So I mean,
yeah.
it's actually kind of interesting. It's where technology,
And it was a
you know,
really brutal war, like I was saying. It was a
very
close and
brutal,
personal war.
very
Uh,
brutal.
they show in the they had actual maces and like machetes too when they're running through these
I mean,
trenches
they were
because
literally
you
just
can't get a
killing.
gun out in a trench that's 6 foot wide. Like
They were just fucking killing everybody and
yeah.
anybody.
They
I mean,
show
and
they show in the trailer like a guy with a mace like beating somebody in the
yeah, and
face.
that's what's always kind of interesting because I don't know if there's this movie. It was actually Mel Gibson's first movie when it was filmed back in Australia. It was called Gallipoli.
Oh, I never
It
saw.
was the first movie he was ever in. He was like 18 or 19. It was the first film he was in. He was a kid, and basically it took place in World War One. And the whole thing was he was a runner. Basically,
Oh,
he had to
run
run
to the
back.
front lines. Yeah,
Yeah, he had to run back and forth between the trenches to take news or
yeah,
information
letters
or
and shit.
whatever letters or whatever from generals or from the people the commanders and shit to the people in the trenches and like where they were going to fight next because there was no radios, there was none of this
Yeah.
kind of stuff yet because we were still predating a lot of this technology that
Oh
they
yeah.
did not get out there like we had in World War II and so on and so forth, Korean War and shit. So it was crazy, and that was crazy because you had to be really fast. You had to also be young, so there was a lot of like young men that died doing
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think like, oh yeah, we're using runners to get our commands. Like, and if he didn't make it, the whole fucking fleet of people would die.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy to think about because like yeah, like a whole battalion might be trapped in two or three trenches over to the side, but if they're going to be getting flanked by the fucking Germans, and then that guy didn't make it there to tell them to get out of there because their colonel got some intel or some shit, they'd all be dead. They
Yeah.
would all be fucking
Exactly.
dead. There was no way to radio into them to be like, yeah, we need an airstrike or we need this or we need to get out of here, whatever. So it's kind of crazy. It was a very unsophisticated, yet it was the beginning of some sophistication with chemical bombs
Yeah.
and things. It's crazy.
Well,
So,
that was the last war to have chemical weapons. They outlawed
oh
them
yeah,
after that.
it was the
The
first and
UN,
last, and
yeah.
never have it again. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's fucking war crimes to be able to do that stuff. But I mean, I read this book on World War One. It was called Regeneration, and basically it was this kind of crazy book about it was about World War One, and it was about this guy who was all fucked up inside of this sanitarium, and then he basically kept seeing the ghosts of people come
Shit.
to him at night that he lost in the war and shit. Like they'd be coming up to him, fucking hobbling, like holding their guts and shit, like all fucked up from mustard
Oh my
gas,
God.
all completely fucking imploded and stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh my god," he was losing his mind and shit in this fucking insane asylum. So I mean, this war was like cost many, many, many lives. It
Oh, it's
just was.
brutal.
I mean, the PTSD aspects of it. So I mean, it's kind of interesting to have a game set in this war. And what's
Yeah.
interesting about it is, I don't think there's ever been a game done like this before, because of how brutal this war was. I
Yeah.
mean, World War II, it was
Well,
extremely brutal.
and it's a different pace of war. It's not
Right.
like their trenches weren't the opposing side's trenches weren't super far,
Hmm.
and they just do charges each and every day. So
Right.
it's a push and pull kind of war.
Right.
It wasn't just like, oh, we're storming in and we killed
And we're
everything.
killing everybody, or they all
It
died or
was just
something.
this
Yeah,
constant
we
back and
lost the front.
forth.
It was just like literally lobbing grenades and fucking gas. It was
Yeah,
crazy. It was,
yeah.
and like there was like
And you'd be
nothing
charging
won.
while all these machine guns are firing you.
Yeah,
It was
there was
almost like a
nothing
constant
won.
Normandy. Like it
Oh
was just
God, I
bad.
know, and it's absolutely insane that they're going to be making a game about this finally because it's just
Yeah.
it's one of the most interesting wars, and nobody's ever kind of treaded in this territory before, you know.
Yeah, and it looks and sounds awesome. I mean, they're not only they said they're not only doing the Western Front because I guess there was stuff that took place in the desert in like Egypt and shit too during that
Yeah, there
war.
was, yeah.
So they're actually doing that too, and they showed like guys with swords on horses doing
Wow,
charges.
that's crazy.
So I guess for the first time in a Battlefield game, you're going to be able to ride horses and shit. They inferred at that. They
Oh
didn't
my
say it,
God,
but
yeah,
so
okay,
that should
that's
be
cool.
pretty interesting.
That is
But
cool.
and they also said they made the biggest vehicles they've ever made in a game. And at the end of a trailer, they show a guy looking up at a Zeppelin, like a giant Zeppelin,
Oh
and it
no.
comes flying into the screen kind of. So
Oh my
I think you're
God.
going to be able to drive them around because there was a Battlefield game in the series called Battlefield 2142,
Hmm.
which was a futuristic game, and you had lasers and like mechs and stuff.
Oh cool.
But one of the most popular game modes for that was this game mode called Titan mode. And so each team would start out in this giant Titan, which was a giant airship floating above the ground on each
Oh,
side of the map.
I see where you're going with this.
But and
Talking about
the whole goal of Titan mode was to bring down the enemy Titan.
oh
So you had
man.
these vehicles that could launch up into the enemy Titan, and you could fight through their Titan, and you'd get to the core and blow it up, and you could win that way. Or you could capture points on the ground that would launch rockets at it and slowly drain its health.
So we
But the
can blow
quick
up zeppelins.
Right. So I think they might be bringing Titan mode back, which was like my favorite fucking mode in a Battlefield game, and
Wow.
might do it with Zeppelins. So you have two enemy Zeppelins, and you have to try to get on them and fight your way through it and blow it up or take it down somehow.
Well, what else do you see coming into this in Battlefield 1? Because you're really familiar with the franchise. The only ones I've ever played were I played a little bit of Battlefield 4, and then I played the beta for Battlefield Hardline. I love
Right.
Hardline, but
Yeah, Hardline's
uh, but yeah, I never really, I don't really know the franchise as well as you do. What other kind of gameplay elements do you see kind of coming into this? I mean, it's kind of all
I don't.
speculation at this point, but
Yeah, I
it
don't
might be
know.
kind of fun to just kind of tease, and talk about. So
They haven't really said anything at all. I mean, most of the Battlefield games always hold still to their core mechanics of squad-based gameplay, which
right,
they started in. There was a Battlefield series called Bad Company, which there was two of, which are awesome games, and kind of changed the series because they started this squad mechanic where you have like your team of 12 or more players, and that part of the team is sectioned into squads of like four or five. So you'll be assigned a squad, and the squad has a squad leader, and each person can spawn on them, like wherever they are on the map, and they can tell you where to go, and you can only communicate with them. You can't talk to other people on the team. So it kind of encourages you to stick with this squad, and like you all charge one place at a time. It's it's pretty interesting. So they said they're going to keep that aspect. They're going to have squads again. I think they're going to have a commander mode where one player plays as the commander and looks over the field and can tell each squad what to do.
okay.
Um, I don't know what mechanics they're going to have with this though. I don't know what they would bring in because I think the biggest thing is that they're going to make melee combat. That's like my hope for it. Like some kind of not just like where you hit a button and like they do a
A
stab.
knife or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I hope
Yeah.
there's something where you can like block and like counter and parry and shit like that.
That would be interesting.
That's like one of my hopes because they were saying there's a ton of melee weapons in the game. That's what they said about that, and melee combat is going to be a huge focus because of how the war was.
Hmm.
So I think you're going to be able to do bayonet charges,
Jesus,
but
that'd be
I
amazing.
don't. And that they had like a YouTuber on stage talking about it, how like awesome it was doing like killing people with bayonets and stuff. So it seems like there's going to be a huge focus on for infantry doing melee stuff, which is really cool. Having maces and like spade shovels. So I hope it's not just like I was saying, where you click a button and they do a stab like in Call of Duty. I
Right.
hope it's like you pull that thing out and it's an actual weapon where you're swinging and
So
blocking
you
with
you
it.
may never even have to use a gun on the field. You can literally run from trench to trench
Yeah, I
to
mean,
trench and just, like stab
I think you
motherfuckers and
could,
shit.
but
And,
maybe since it's trench warfare and you weren't always supplied real well, maybe you have a limited amount of bullets each time you spawn,
mm,
so you don't have like 100 rounds on you that you're shooting. You only have like
right.
two clips, and then You got to bust out the old spade shovel, cave
Yeah.
somebody's head in and take their ammo.
Gotta bust out the old Wiimote.
And
Yeah,
they also said
motherfucker.
something that was interesting that uh, tanks were a relatively well, they were a new thing in World War
Yeah.
One,
Uh,
and each country made their own version of a tank. There was no standardized thing, so they had these huge, crazy fucking tanks
they
that
look fucking ridiculous.
yeah, and that were made by like five, that were manned by like 5-person teams, like had huge
Yeah.
teams inside of them. So they said they're really going to focus on that. I don't know what that means, but you'll have like your whole squad in a tank, and each person will have a job to do in that tank, I guess.
Jeez, that sounds amazing.
So maybe one person will be like loading shells, the other will be the commander on top, some guy will
I'll
have the
be
gun.
driving and shit.
So I don't.
Yeah.
So it sounds like vehicles will be more dynamic instead of I just jump in a tank by myself and drive it around and shoot like some.
Right, or like in Battlefield 4, the ATVs and shit. Yeah.
Right. So I think there might be more dynamic vehicles that way. Where
You know, thinking about that, like they kind of did that in Hardline, like where somebody would fly one of the helicopters around, and then somebody could man one of the guns on the side, and you had to kind of fly.
which they've
So,
done
I mean,
before. They've done stuff like that before, but never to that. Well, actually, in the first Battlefield, 1942. Do you know what the Memphis Belle is?
Mm-mm, no.
The big airship that had like multiple guns.
Mm-mm.
They had that, which there's one person flying, there's one person on a gun like under the ship, one
Oh
person
shit.
on a tail gun. So I think yeah, maybe they'll do stuff like that. I mean, they showed biplanes with
Wait, was that the big plane that Howard Hughes made?
no.
No. Okay.
Memphis
Okay.
Belle was like just they called it the Flying Fortress back in World War II, and it was just
Okay.
literally a plane that had like guns all over it. So there was like 8 people on different guns on this thing, and there was like a bomber too, so they could
Jesus,
drop.
sounds like that's something you want to have in fucking World War II. It's like, yeah, I just had this tank with all these planes and all these guns on it. We can fly. We can fly into something and just destroy it from the inside out. Sounds
I
amazing.
think maybe the tanks will be like that, but I don't know. It they said within the next 2 to 3 months they're going to start announcing tons of shit about the game. That conference that they had was literally just to show the trailer and nothing else really. They didn't really reveal anything
Hmm.
too much, but I don't know. It looks awesome to me. I love the Battlefield games. They're like
Well, you're not alone. On the opposite of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, on the other side, Battlefield 1 has now passed 1 million likes, putting
oh
it in the
wow.
top 250 most likes ever on
Holy
YouTube.
shit, that's awesome.
Compared to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's 400,000 dislike, which actually puts, this is interesting, this is coming from Forbes, a statistic, but Call of Duty Infinite Warfare trailer is the 8th most disliked video ever on
Wow.
YouTube. Ever. So the 8th, and I'm sure the other Call of fucking Duties are up there too. I know he said Black Ops 2 was also up there, so that's probably number 7 or 6 something. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
up
think
there.
I think Infinite Warfare is mostly up there because of the whole paywall
The
shit.
paywall game
I
thing,
think
right?
that
Yeah.
really pissed people off pretty
So
bad.
I mean, people are really liking what
Yeah, people seem pumped about
what's gonna
the
happen here.
Battlefield
So
1 trailer, especially
yeah,
that I think you get fatigue when a game reiterates itself too much and just does like, oh, another modern shooter, oh, another modern shooter, oh.
right.
And now this is just something that I think there's probably been games that have touched it, but this is just a fully fledged game dedicated to World War One, and I guess the mechanics of it and the weapons of the day and the vehicles. So I
Hmm.
think that'll be really interesting to see how they handle a lot of the limited battle mechanics they had of the day. So it should be
I mean,
cool.
it's gonna be interesting. It's probably one of the most interesting wars ever, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be kind of interesting to jump into that world from a
Well,
2016
it's one
perspective.
a lot of
Or,
people. I mean, it was a huge war, but people mostly focus on World War Two as the big war
right?
because that
Yeah,
was the war the United States was in.
had the most presence in. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, World War One, there was tons of people. For the French were in that war.
Yeah.
There was millions of people were in that war.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's
yeah.
kind of crazy. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of interesting how both of these shooters, like one is like, let's get advanced and let's keep going down the same
Right.
path, and then Battlefield is kind of like, no, let's do something that we've never completely done before.
Yeah, I
kinda
mean, the battle.
revitalize first-person shooters and really combat in gaming as we know it. So it's
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
I mean, Battlefield has never been afraid to do different shit other than what they do. I mean, you had the World War II stuff. They did futuristic games. They made Battlefront, which was Star Wars.
That's
Um,
true. Yep, a very good game.
they made Hardline, which was like a cops and robbers take on
Yeah, Hardline.
Battlefield.
Hardline was fun. Like
Yeah.
I said, I only ever played the beta with you, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It
I had a good
wasn't-
time with that game.
Super popular, but I mean, I played the shit out of that game. It was really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting. I would like to see them do medieval warfare after this too. Have
That
some
would be amazing.
catapults,
Oh my god,
trebuchets,
when can we get that
storming
game, dude?
castles. Maybe if this does well, they'll think about it.
Bullocks! Man, the cannons and shit. Holy
Yeah,
fuck,
dumping
man.
hot oil on people.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. Yeah, just fucking like stringing them up and torturing the shit out of them and stuff. Oh my god, that'd be fantastic, man. Yeah, having fucking horses and just like running into each other from different sides.
That'd be badass.
You know, maybe that's why they never did earlier types of warfare games, because that's like all that the fighting was just like running into each other in full force with fucking swords and shit, just as fast as you can.
I don't know.
And then it's just death and explodes, just like the fucking wall of death, you know.
I mean, there's some games that have done. I mean, they're PC games, but there's a game called Chivalry that's all like melee.
Oh, I know Chivalry. Yeah, you can like
Yeah.
hack people up and shit.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that game rules. But I think if somebody like Dice, who makes Battlefield, got into making a game like that, I think it would be fucking really cool. I mean, but I guess the thing is, I don't know if would people be interested in a medieval all-out warfare game like that, first person.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know,
I would
because
be. It'd be awesome.
I mean, there would be no weapons. I mean, there would be no sniper. I mean, you have to use
Well,
archers and
you'd
shit,
have
I guess.
crossbows,
Crossbows,
archers,
archers, yeah, you'd have that kind of cannons and things like that. So,
yeah.
so I mean, it definitely would be different. I mean, they could have a little fun with it. You know, they probably can do some sort of elfin magic or something that would
Yeah.
like turn you into an imp or something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what would happen. It'd be kind of crazy.
But I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I am excited for this Battlefield 1 thing.
it seems like a lot of people are too, man. You're not alone in this.
It seems like a good step.
Yeah.
I probably was gonna be upset if they announced like, oh, a Battlefield 5, and it's gonna
Right.
be another
More-
modern military shooter. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I was already starting to get fatigued with that because the past couple games have been that. So
And I think a lot of people were, man. Call of Duty's heading down that track, and people are not,
yeah, they're not
responding well to
receptive of
you know?
it.
They'll play it, but they're not, they're going to be like, yay. I mean, people are stopping to play Black Ops 3 already. You know what I mean? Black Ops 3 just
Right.
came out not that long ago, and people are already starting to get
It's
fatigued.
because
by
they
that.
release it every fucking year. I mean,
Yeah.
Battlefield, their main Battlefields, they only release them once every 2 or 3 years. So
Yeah.
I mean, they've started working on other games like Battlefront came out, but they don't have like their main teams working on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really big into competitive multiplayer shooters, mainly because it's like what you said. I mean, it's like kill streaks, kill streaks, kill streaks,
Yeah.
kill streaks, and it's just like, how many times can I kill the same person over and over and over
Right.
again before I'm just like, this isn't worth my fucking money. But I mean, something like this with World War One and just being a completely different setting, a completely different
Oh yeah,
combat
and
style and
they taught
mentality. I mean,
they were
that's
saying that
interesting.
this game has like the most destruction they've ever had. So I think you're going to be able to like deform the battlefield with like shelling and shit.
That's
And,
I mean, probably the mustard gas will explode. You'll
Yeah.
see it just fucking pop all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's what was actually pretty interesting about Hardline, because it's like you're just like running around, modern day, and you're cops and robbers. You're not.
Yeah.
I remember jumping in the fucking van to fuck the police and shit, and just
Yeah.
fucking rolling around, just like shooting cops out the back window. I mean, that was amazing. Like that was
Yeah.
fun. That was like.
That game was just pure fun. The
Yeah, that was
multiplayer.
just like anything. They never really did anything like that I knew of before. At least I never played anything like that. So, but
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun, and I really kind of hope to see maybe like what you were saying in fucking Battlefield 1. Maybe you'll be able to jump in a tank with eight friends, and like one of you'll be driving, one of you'll be fucking popping fucking cannon or machine gun shells out the back or something. I
Shelling
don't know.
mustard gas on people.
Yeah, somebody's throwing mustard gas out. I got the mustard canister tank and just douche. Boom.
There's blood in my lungs.
I can't breathe.
I need a hot dog for this mustard gas.
It hurts to swallow. Oh man. Well, I think that was a good episode 3 podcast,
Yeah.
man. We talked
Yeah,
about
man.
a lot of fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
Let's go play some Chiki boys. That's all I can
Hey,
say.
I'll play Cheeky Boys all day long.
That's what I'm gonna go do too. I think so. Yeah, I think that was a good one, man. I think we should wrap it up. Unless you have anything else you want to add or say, I think we kind of covered everything.
Oh no, I think that's it. And I think I
Awesome.
should bring over Battleborn so you can try it because
I would.
Like
I'll tell you what. I'll trade you Battleborn for Evil Within.
All right, sounds
we
good.
Could, we could trade off. And we could see if you'd like that, and I'll see if I like that. So that'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Tibbins. And
All right,
to all of you out there, thank you for joining us and hanging out with us for the third episode of LyfCast here. I think this was a better episode than last week where it was all like doom and gloom on
Doom
the
and
Nintendo news. There was no
And
Nintendo
now we
news
just got
this
mustard
week.
gas this week.
Now we just got mustard gas and ending everyone's life.
And Chiki boys, you can't.
I'm the
that-
Chiki boys.
that-
Yeah, that's like, you know, you have all those like blood and guts and mustard gas, blood in
And
your
just
lungs
two
and shit.
brothers fucking up dragons and
Yeah,
Draculas.
and there's like this like little bit of this like delicious little cherry on
Being
top of this
cheeky.
fucking death cake, being cheeky. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.
Alright, take it easy. We'll see you.
Bye.